Last time I had Bek in here, right before he sat down, I told Alessi, who was sitting on the board, I was like, I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to say hello. And I guarantee you I'm not going to have to say anything for at least 6 minutes. And it turned into one of the best opening monologues. I have no idea what the fuck you said, but it was incredible. And it was like a full 6 minutes and 15 seconds. And I just want to thank you for that because I've never had the opportunity to do that on camera.
It's nice to meet you for the first time. Hear your voice. Third time's a charm, Julian. First of all, I want to congratulate you for crossing over the 1 million threshold. Multiple channels heading that way. I remember the first time we met up and you weren't even at 100 yet, bro. So I've seen how hard you've worked and how far your reach has gone and how important, honestly, brother, what you're doing is to give people a platform, discuss important issues, and especially things that I think all of us by now can admit are not really conspiracies anymore. But let's turn it over to my brother over here, Sonny.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Bek. I appreciate it. It's good to see things charted along the way as well. So to see like each time you've been here, it's like been a different step. It's very cool to see, and you are right. We got some shit to talk about today. But Mr. Sonny Faz, first time on the show. Welcome.
Thanks for having me on, bro.
Of course, dog. You're out there doing a lot of things these days.
Yeah, running a few different businesses. We've been running up Clipping together.
Yeah.
That's been going pretty good.
It's getting there. Yeah, I was actually going to meet up with you on Saturday if you're around.
Yeah, we'll link up and chat about that. But that's been good, bro. Just grinding, man. Streaming, content, upgrading my character. That's all we're doing. Is my hair looking crazy? You keep looking up.
Your hair looks on fire, bro. Like
I'm trying to go with like extra Italian in this one.
Yeah. You're a lot of things going on as well. You're young, you're Italian, and you're Muslim. I mean, that's quite the fucking combo. So, rock it how you're going to rock it. But you guys obviously are here on planet Earth with me. So we've been seeing the whole Epstein story just fucking, I don't know, hit the skids, whatever the fuck you want to say. I see your hat, Bek. Epstein wasn't Muslim.
Just a reminder, in case they try to pin this on the Muslims, I just want to remind everybody. Yeah, there's a couple Arabs on the list, a couple diplomats, a couple billionaires of Arab descent. And again, I'm not Arab, just for the record. I'm Albanian American, born and raised here.
That's right.
But it seems to me that the strategy of a lot of these rogue groups, shadow groups, the media that controls a lot of what we think, it's blame the Muslim boogeyman. I just want to make sure for the record they understand that the ringleader of that operation, Epstein, was not a Muslim. Just for the record. Just to remind people as they walk by.
Yeah, I don't think they can pin this one on Muslims. There's a lot of things, but I don't think that's happening here.
But what's alarming, Julian, is that all you see all over X is people taking shots at the Prophet Muhammad 1,400 years ago. Even if what they're saying is true, and it's not. He's dead. He's been dead. Peace and blessings be upon him. Mm-hmm. Why are you not worried about what's happening right now? Epstein's victims are still alive. The people that helped him are still alive. The people that are in power are still alive, Julian. Yet they try to distract with these narratives.
Who do you think Epstein was? That's for both of you. If you want to start, Sonny, go ahead.
I mean, we're going all out, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't it pretty clear that he was an operative for Mossad?
I think so.
Yeah. I'd say it's safe to say. But I don't think that we let our three-letter agencies off the hook either because they seem to have clearly known about it. So it seems like, and at that point, I would have to say even the British are involved.
I would agree.
It's Russia.
Well, it's not Russiagate, but there's a lot of different places that certainly seem to have touched that guy. I think we know where it emanates from and all that. It's just very interesting that you would be at a moment if you're like, say, CIA, and you figure out that this guy is doing these kinds of things, which wasn't just the pedophilia and all that. Obviously, it's money laundering, arms dealing, deals around the world with all these different governments. And you find out he's doing that and operating from your soil. And then you let him keep going and you become a part of it?
You do nothing about it.
Right? Isn't that strange?
It's a crime in a lot of states. It's just state law to know that minors are being harmed and to not report the crimes.
Hey guys, 3 quick things. Number 1, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It's a huge, huge help. Number 2, if you'd like to join my Patreon for early uncensored releases of the full episodes, you can join via the link in my description or in the pinned comment below. And number 3, if you'd like to join my clipping community for a chance to make content from the show and make money, you can join via the Discord link in my description below.
You have one of the wives of one of the most powerful senators to ever live in America who almost became president. John McCain almost became president.
Right.
You have his wife on record 3 or 4 years ago saying, we all knew about Epstein. But for whatever reason, nobody would go after him. Please cue this into the edit. For whatever reason, nobody would go after him. They were afraid. What could have made a U.S. senator who almost became president scared to come forward with the crimes being committed on our soil against children? And the fact that people are more concerned about Bad Bunny and his fucking performance on the Super Bowl that I didn't even watch is terrifying to me, Julian. Brother, people should be in the street. And nothing against movements or one way or the other. The country almost got burned down because one man was killed by a police officer. Are the children's lives not important? Do children's lives matter? Hashtag children's lives matter. Thousands of kids may have been murdered, even eaten alive. Okay?
Eaten alive.
That's what they're saying in some of these emails. They're like insinuating that some of this was code, like jerky was one of the key words. And this is breaking right now. I mean, it's trending. They're saying that they think that when they're making some of these references, they're literally talking about eating children. You made a phenomenal edit of Lutnick. We called him out on our show a couple months ago. The first video.
That was one of my favorite edits I ever did.
It was awesome. Yeah. And it was good to just, I like when you're like the one ranting, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't do that a ton. And I did not expect to do that. I mean, Deef and I were just fucking around doing our weekly Patreon episode. He's dressed like Demolition Man. We didn't even check the cameras and everything. And then we just record this, and the patrons were like, you have to put this out. We put it out. The rest was history. But, like, it was like when I looked at it back, I'm like, it makes sense because it was just this 1, 2, 3 punch. We had to watch the video of him lying through his fucking teeth to that New York Post lady. Mm-hmm. Then we watched a video of him laughing, the one we were just talking about before
multiple times.
Next to the president.
Next to the president. This one, the one in the Oval. And then Deef, who had been like off the internet for 2 weeks and was just learning about all this from me on like live right there. I read him the email where he's talking about meeting him on the island, listing off the kids' ages. And he just went like, oh, and I just lost it. Because I'm like, it's one thing if, all right, you were neighbors with the guy and then you should have looked into more stuff or what he was really accused of and you didn't. To lie about it as brazenly as he did.
As you stand behind.
Exactly. It's like,
as you stand behind the President of the United States of America and you laugh in the faces of every American and person around the world that we all know what the fuck is going on. Now, there's a weird disease called Karu, what is it called?
Pull it up.
One of the comments I read, very interesting. Again, remember, some of these theories go as far as that they've even ate children and took the, adrenaline blood from them. And, I won't use certain words for a reason. I'm still programmed from 2019 lockdowns. Mm-hmm. You remember how we were operating back then?
I remember how we were operating.
Paranoid, talking in fucking, so the fact that we're still not free, as Sonny always says on one of his short films, Free America, bro. Free America. Clearly, we're not free. Clearly, there is a parasite, as he states.
A parasite?
In our system. Yeah.
Sonny, you want to explain that? What do you mean by that?
Well, I didn't call out any specific group of people. I just described what the people in charge are doing to ruin the country. Right. Like, instead of, old cartoons being at least somewhat wholesome. Like, when they did demonic imagery and old stuff, it was hidden. You had to play a song in reverse. You had to zoom in on, like, the foot of a cartoon character and see a Pichadel. You know what I'm talking about?
Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club, Beatles, picture of Aleister Crowley in the background.
And now it's just obvious and it's inside of our face. So I made a short film where I called out all the different demonic things that they're doing, and I just called them parasites. And then a certain group of people went completely up in arms and started calling me and giving me death threats and everything. But yeah,
we're going to die anyway.
There's no point of even like harping on it anymore. Everyone knows.
Everybody knows.
And to me, it's like, how it works in those elite communities, I don't know. I know there's a sickness going on up there. But you also have to remember that we can't agree on, what the fucking, who the star of the game was last night. You think a bunch of narcissistic billionaires agree on how to run the world? Imagine all the shit that we see from like the Uniparty, which is fair for us to call it that is obviously trickling down to society and creating these awful casualties of war, if you will. I'm just using that as a phrase that happens to all of us normal folk. And then think about all the infighting they must be having up there, and just name every fucking, group that we talk about, whether it be Illuminati, Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, all these different people, and all the fucking after effects that must have on all us that they can't even agree on one fucking thing to do. And the whole point of what they do is just to try to run people who they view as useful idiots on their machine of peasant Avante on the string.
You ever ordered pizza on email?
I have not ordered pizza.
Or hot dogs?
I've ordered DoorDash. That's not email, though.
How many emails were in the files talking about pizza?
A lot of them.
Yeah, can we actually pull that up on
How about how many emails about jerky and beef jerky and?
See, here's the other thing. There's a lot of stuff that in the past could have been totally shut down. That they did it again.
Wow, I think you need a VPN.
They did it again. I don't have a VPN on there. I have one on my phone.
It's all right, John.
Damn it. Well, let's see if we can find it through Twitter and then verify the shots, because obviously there's fake stuff flying around. But there's stuff that you used to be able to shut down because it legitimately was from just a 4chan chat without real evidence presented, that now, even if it's not proven true yet, you have to at least be hey, maybe, there's something, there's a there, or there could be a there. And it's a really important moment for all
humanity.
Of Main Street to be able to sift through the real and the bullshit. We got to be very careful so we don't fall in the trap of just assuming fucking everything is everything and it's all the fucking conspiracy. But I will admit, cynically right now, it feels a lot more towards the conspiracy side than the alternative.
And we would say more towards the spiritual side.
Side.
I've said it on your show multiple times, Danny Jones multiple times. We said it together on the Hajj Twins podcast. And on Jimmy Dorey, I was just on his show last week, the comedian. I want to thank him also. Where we come from, and it's also mentioned many times in our faith, the faith of Islam, God never destroys a nation until he sends a messenger. He didn't just destroy ancient Egypt. He sent Moses first. He didn't destroy Babylon. He sent Lot. So I believe the American people, the Western world, especially through these emails of Epstein, are being given a final warning by God. We can now see the evil. We know it's real. It's not just a conspiracy anymore. We know that agencies have been covering up for this. We know that our institutions have been compromised. We know that our leaders are hypocrites that sit at the microphone and the only thing they can agree on is more war. And I believe, as I said this on your show, and it's not getting any better, Julian, since the last episode. It's getting a lot scarier, brother. I believe this is America's last stand. God has allowed us to see the evil, and either we stand together and we push back against this, or we're all going to perish like the empires before us. The country was up in arms because a single man lost his life with a cop, right? The whole BLM thing, the whole country burned to the ground. Yet none of us are in the streets marching for children, bro. Children, not a couple, thousands of them. But we'll have debates over Bad Bunny. Brother, we're in trouble, man. That's my little spiel.
Let me tell you about an online cannabis company that's revolutionizing how we deal with life's challenges, from sleepless nights to stress-filled days. Mood.com has created an entire line of functional gummies and functional flower crafted for your ideal mood, made with 100% federally legal THC. Not only that, but they'll deliver it discreetly right to your doorstep. And today, you can get 20% off your first order at mood.com by using promo code Julian. I've tried several of their products myself, and it's wild how different each one feels. Their Sleepy Time gummies knock me out in about 15 minutes flat, no hangovers, no grogginess, and I wake up feeling amazing. What makes Mood different is how they've paired THC and other cannabinoids with herbs and adaptogens. You're just not gonna find gummies like this in a dispensary, or anywhere for that matter. But their flower is what really blows me away. They partner with small family-owned US farms who are custom cultivating their bud with unique terpene profiles. So you can choose a strain to help you feel more social, aroused, chilled out, even focused and productive. I mean, they have cannabis products for literally anything. Immune support, support, menopause relief, PMS symptoms, mental clarity, sexual arousal. And once again, each one is crafted using federally legal cannabis grown on these small family-owned farms. Best of all, not only does Mood stand behind everything they sell with a 100-day satisfaction guarantee, but as I mentioned, our listeners are going to get 20% off their first order today by using code Julian at checkout. So head on over to mood.com, link in my description below, browse their amazing selection of functional gummies, and find the perfect gummy for whatever you're dealing with. And once again, don't forget to use promo code Julian at checkout to save 20% off your order.
Saw your boy Tommy G calling for people not to pay taxes.
Oh, how good
That's
was that
so
rant? He's
gangster,
like,
bro.
why the fuck are we paying taxes, bro?
It's facts though.
Yeah.
I grew up in Boston. They had a whole revolution over a tax on tea.
They did.
No taxation without representation.
That's right.
People love to complain about jizya tax. Have you ever heard of that?
Jizya tax? Is that like a pause or?
It's like the tax that Muslims charge when they're leaders, but with that you actually get stuff in return. The problem with the American tax system right now is we're not getting anything for it. Right. The roads here are garbage. How many roads right downstairs can you not even drive a car that's somewhat low?
Potholes all over the place.
Bro.
And Hoboken's a lot better in a lot of places,
Bro,
too.
$30 to get into Manhattan. How about just to get in? $26 or whatever? Just to get in.
They're just liars. The initial plans for them even charging tolls for bridges and tunnels was to pay it off. And then the second they paid it off, actually, no, we're going to up the price even more. Rather than stopping at like the initial agreement. They just don't stop lying.
Regressive taxes. Those are even more painful than state and income taxes. They punish the poor more than anybody.
I mean, 100 years ago, income tax wasn't even a thing. To think in that short of a time frame, we've gone from 0% income tax to nearly 40% if you're making somewhat of a substantial income. Like, I don't see how this country doesn't fall in our lifetime, bro. A lot of people like to think that every single empire lasts forever. The Romans thought the same thing. The Ottomans thought the same thing, but it doesn't, bro. It all crumbles, and Donald Trump's not going to be standing in front of you on Judgment Day. He's not. The flag's not going to protect you on Judgment Day. That's why, we believe like your morals come first over everything else.
Beck, what do you think of Trump with all this latest news?
I don't know if he's playing. Listen, I think one thing, to be fair, I don't think any of this would be coming to light if he wasn't running for office when he did. But is he playing some game where somehow I don't know, I'm playing devil's advocate. You still have people that believe in the Anan stuff, right? They still believe in that. And one of the last things on that was save Israel for last. That was one of the last transmissions that was said in those 4chan things. Or never even followed it on 4chan, but people I've seen following that stuff. I've spoken to David Nino Rodriguez, former heavyweight boxing champ. He's got his own pod too. And they were all hardcore on that stuff. For me, is it a slow wake up? Because, brother, literally the entire nation has become a nation of zombies, in my opinion. We have 22nd TikTok brains, right? So is it a pre-planned way for the president to slowly wake everyone up, basically gaslight us, but on purpose? That's what I'm praying for. Otherwise, we're screwed.
Keep praying. I don't think.
I don't think so either. Not with that guy standing next to him.
Yeah, I mean
that's the last Hail Mary, basically. As the Christians would say.
You talk about this. I don't want to lose the original point you were making about like a civilizational moment. And, like this is it. And Sonny, you're also absolutely right. Every empire's fallen, right? And they all have in common that they think it can't happen to them. I study this just like you do. And it's a point that for some reason humans forget over and over again. And they say, it just won't happen to me. And that's not the case. But there's a little difference here in that there's a real disconnect. I don't even want to say algorithmically, just like in general of people, meaning the three of us in here, well, the five of us in here, we all know what's going on. We're actually looking at these emails. We are following along on Twitter, if you will, like going after this on social media. Then there's a second tranche of people who are looking at it from the outside and liking some videos on social media and going, yeah, fucked up. And then going about their day, not even blaming them. That's just how it's doing. Then there's a whole third group of people who's like, they don't even know what's going on, right? Whereas the one thing about the George Floyd thing in May and June 2020 is everyone was locked in their house and all of the mainstream and social media were covering it at all times, that everyone knew what was going on. Mm-hmm. It was a fully executed psyop, if you will. And now with this, I agree, this is the thing we should all be looking at because it can tie, we've only scratched the surface on this, but like Do you think enough people are actually taking it seriously?
There's also one other group you forgot to mention.
What's one other
There's
group?
a group that also knows what's going on and is trying to steer and deflect and distract the masses from what's going on. And they use Islam and they use Muslims. Because if you go on X right now, all you're going to see is state lawmakers in Texas, everyone that would be traditionally supportive of a certain state in the Middle East, okay, using Muslim and this fake Sharia invasion, which me and Sonny clearly, I believe, demonstrated that it's all made up, bro. 100%.
We're going to talk about that.
We are going to talk about it. So there is that group that's trying to distract and deflect. So it's like if I'm peeking behind the Wizard of Oz's curtain and I don't want to be discovered that I'm actually Oz, I'm going to say, look at this one, look at that one, look at this one, look at that one. And that's exactly what's going on. And a lot of people take the bait. That's why we felt necessary to make the film The Muslim Invasion of America and go out there and see, like, is it really like that? Like, am I stepping into Baghdad when I go to Minnesota? I mean, to Michigan or Texas? And that's not what we found, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the whole Muslim-Christian divide, that's only one of them, too. Like, that's not even the main way they're dividing people. Because Muslims are
what
only...
What are the other ones?
Black and white, left and right. Like, if you hear... you see, it's like a pizza. So, with any of their agendas, you can always basically see where they're slicing that pizza. So, if they're pushing something about Muslims taking over America... Muslims and Christians. If they're pushing something about conservatives and Republicans, left and right, about, you know, black violence, black and white. And they keep doing that until you have a pizza where it's like one of those kindergarten parties. You have the slices that are this big and no one's unified anymore. That's the real problem. But yeah.
Gay and straight, even though that, to me, that's not even like, it's not even worth wasting.
But it's crazy. Like, they even made that a left and right thing. Masks became a left and right thing. And it's funny, like, a lot of these issues that we talk about, they're not even proportionate to how big of an issue they are. Like, for how much everyone talked about the trans stuff in 2023, how often do you really see walking around? I mean, we're in New York. It's not
City,
that much.
You see them. They're out
See
there.
a few.
This is like a honeypot for them. But,
This is like their,
But let's be real.
this is their Mecca, and it's still not that many. Like, every single time
These are ideological, listen, these are ideological things, Julian, that are really not going to impact the overall safety and harmony of the world. But the media will sensationalize it, right? For me, if you want to chop your dick off, chop it off. For me, I had no problem with it. Chop it right off. It's less competition. Could you imagine if these people were straight? I can't dress like George Michael and fucking dance. Like, if he was straight, there would have been no women left. And they can't reproduce. Once they chop off their dicks, like, it's a problem that solves itself. We shouldn't even be wasting our energy. Chop them off, man. Just don't push the shit on kids. That's all. You want to chop your dicks off, chop them off left and right like a ninja. You know, you could be like fucking Donatello on the Ninja Turtles and just go ahead. But let's not push it on children. These are lifestyles, right? In America, we have a choice. We all have a right to have a lifestyle. Christianity is a way of life. Islam's a way of life. Being gay, a way of life. We all have our rights. Doesn't mean I have to agree. But as Americans, we have those rights. I don't support it spiritually at all. But you have that right. So I think private matters can be left for the bedroom, brother. Private. I don't need to know what you're going to do with your dick or your pussy. I don't need to know. Neither do my kids. Chop it off. Sew one on. It's like, but that's what they want us to focus on while they do what? Destroy all of us.
Yeah.
Enslave all of us together.
Yeah, there's a story I've told on my podcast a bunch, but we're also tapping into your audience now too, Sonny, so they haven't heard me say this, so apologies to people who have heard this before. But
hit us with it.
My friend Danny Jones talked to this guy, Stephen Kinzer, back during it, like the height of the lockdowns, maybe like end of 2020, beginning of 2021. Stephen Kinzer was a longtime New York Times reporter who ended up reporting, I want to say, on like a lot of cult stuff eventually, but you know, he was the bureau chief in all these different places. So he's the bureau chief down in South America in 1981, call it. And Carter's a year out of office. And so he finds out Carter's coming through where he was in South America, and he knew Carter. So he's like, all right, I'll hit him up, see what's up. Hits up Carter. Carter's like, yeah, let's go get a drink. So he's getting a drink with Carter, and they're sitting there talking, catching up. And then he's like, you know what? It's been long enough. Let me try to ask some questions, see if he'll answer them. And he asked Carter, you know, what's it like to become president, to walk in there into the Oval Office and you are in charge of everything day one? And Carter was just like, dude, it's fucking nuts. And you can't even explain it in words. He's like, so what'd you do? And he goes, I called in every living president. every single one who was still around, and met with them all one-on-one to get advice on how to do the job, including Nixon. And so Kinzer's sitting there and he's like, all right, fuck it, I'm going to ask, who gave the best advice? And Carter smiles real big and he goes, Nixon.
There you go.
And Kinzer goes, why? And he goes, Nixon walked in there. He goes, all right, listen, Congress, they're going to fight over all this bullshit, healthcare, taxes, whatever. You're going to move things 5% one direction, 5% the other direction. Domestic politics, it doesn't fucking matter. It never changes. Foreign policy, though, that's where you got the power. That's where you change everything. And the reason that story hits for me is because it's exactly what you're saying, Sonny. They take the pizza and they slice it up in all these different ways. They say to the crowd, ooh, look at the shiny object, look at the shiny object. Everyone go get upset
Chop your
about
dick
it.
off.
Yeah, come over here. And then suddenly they're like, all right, they're over there. All right, good. Yeah, pull it. And over here, they're doing something crazy in Somalia or something like that. And nobody's going to talk about it. And those are the people, when we talk about like who runs the world, the bureaucracies, the governments, the elites, and the combination of everything within, to me, that's the tale as old as time. That's been around for well over a century, if you ask me.
Chop your dick off.
Yeah, run over here.
Crazy times, Julian Dorey. I think unanimously we can all agree, especially with the Epstein saga going on, lobbying needs to be made. Like, we need to get something done now. All this crazy shit's been going on. Children have been getting hurt. Politicians pulled into the mix. Former presidents pulled into the mix. Clearly, corruption has seeped in like gangrene and has only spread throughout the years. And it's not just Israel or all these other, right? We have to worry about China also. For years. Sent spies, penetrated the highest levels of corporations, stole military secrets. My friend, we have been eroded from the inside out. The fact, when you can go back and listen to Bill Clinton's speech on the World Trade Organization, it's going to be a good thing. Well, go ask Detroit, Michigan, right? Go ask Michigan. We went to Michigan together. We saw the streets of Detroit. $41 trillion in counting in national debt. Yet Detroit looks like someone dropped a bomb on it. It looks like fucking Baghdad in the middle of Operation Iraqi Freedom. I could not believe. And we coincidentally, while we were filming, stumbled across the first plant, literally by accident.
Ford plant.
Because I couldn't believe that used to be their plant, how dilapidated the entire area was. And to think that at one point we were the leading people in the world for making vehicles, when they allowed these countries that don't even pay like livable wages. But we allowed this to happen.
What do you think started that? What do you think? What was the first step in like one day Detroit is booming? There's production lines. Everyone's working, making
World Trade
cars.
Organization.
Well,
NAFTA.
It was Henry Ford. He brought in a bunch of Arabs.
He's talking about what led to it becoming shit.
Yeah, what are you
Not
saying?
what made it
This
good.
is interesting. Yeah.
Well, this is what we learned in the documentary, interviewing everyone there, is basically all the Arabs' families, they came for the motor industry. Henry Ford, he brought a bunch of people from the Arab nations to come and work for a cheaper rate at the time. And then once they outsourced all that work to foreign nations, that's when Detroit started collapsing. But Detroit was actually one of the most economically booming cities in America for a while. And now, bro, it's a dump.
I
Like
wonder
a
if
dump.
I wonder if why he brought the Arabs. Have you ever been to Detroit and went to
Dude,
No.
it's even colder than here.
It was a
brutal.
disaster.
Yeah.
To me, it's crazy how Arabs can go from a warm climate and then want to go work there. It's like fucking. It was like hell on earth, bro. He says a funny line in the film that we made. Like, you guys are worried about like the Muslims and the Arabs. Like, let them keep it. Like, they can have this fucking.
Yeah,
place.
I got. Did you watch the documentary?
I watched the first 10 minutes of it.
The last 15 is the best. So you gotta make
It's
sure.
only
you finish
40
it.
minutes.
Your work's great, by the way. I've loved some of your documentaries in the past.
Thank
do
you.
Like a very throwback Americana type feel.
I appreciate that.
good.
That's from watching all like the Tarantino, Scorsese, being around my family. You know.
Being around your family too.
Yeah, just like as an artist, you learn to just kind of absorb everything. Even being around Bek, he's got some of the most original humor in the world, bro.
He does have that.
Like stuff, he doesn't take stuff from movies and from TV shows.
Original,
off
son.
the dome. Like, bro, we're in LA a couple weeks ago. There's 2 cars in front of us. We're the 3rd car behind. Right, light goes green and they're not going. So Bek, he can't wait for anyone. Not 2 seconds.
Life's
He
precious.
flies around the guy, stops next to him, goes, "What are you waiting for the light to turn blue?" and just whips around him like, how do you think of this stuff? How do you? And he doesn't even know. So I've been writing these down so that in the future, if I'm working on a movie or something, that's where you get all your humor from at the end of the day. It's just most people, when they're operating, they're moving with their subconscious turned off. They're not operating in any sense of consciousness.
Autopilot, bro.
But
What do you mean by that?
I mean, any little interaction that you have, if you're conscious, you can be a stand-up comedian. You can be a movie director. You can write TV shows. Like, let's say you go to a coffee shop and you have a funny little interaction. Write that down in your notes.
Yeah.
Now, in the future, when you're writing something, you can go through and you have something that made somebody laugh. If you tell a joke at a campfire and everyone's dying laughing, write it down.
Absolutely.
Keep track of stuff.
I agree with you, kid. I came up with something 2 days ago. I can't remember now, and I wish and I was something for content. It was something I wanted to say. It is important. I wish I kept a journal of my life, but shit. Maybe it's better I didn't. Maybe it's better I didn't.
You've lived a very interesting life, Bek, especially considering like the background. I know we've talked about it on the podcast before back in the day, but you know, for people who didn't hear episode 95, you lost, what, 28 family members?
Man, we spoke about that on episode 1 with you that we did. Not your episode 1, but our first session, our
95.
first time dancing and shit.
Yep.
But that's why I get like really angry, Julian. It's like, you know, my family was killed by Orthodox Christians. I never blamed Christianity, bro.
Yes.
Never once have I ever. If you could find one video where I blame Christianity for what happened to my family, I'll get baptized tomorrow. But you won't, because I would never blame the religion for the actions of a few.
Right.
And me and Sonny are on the front lines telling people, man, you know, what does Donald Trump always say? It's fake news. It's fake news. I agree, Mr. President. It is fake news. But if it's fake news once, twice, 100 times for him, why is it when the Muslim American tells you the same fake news, especially on the right, especially on the far right, you guys all agree it's a corrupt media. We all agree it's a corrupt media that will only put what's to their, you know, benefit of whatever policy or agenda they're trying to push. If you believed it for Donald Trump, if you believed it for anyone else that said it's fake media, then why, when the Muslim tells you it's fake, what they're telling you about our religion, the way they quote our book completely out of context?
What are the best examples of them doing that?
They'll literally put the one verse, and strike the believers wherever you can find. Bro, it's not even God talking to the Muslims. He's talking to the angels to back the Muslims up in battle because they're outnumbered 3-1. 99% of those verses are defensive in nature. They'll show you, you know, he knows too, not even a full verse, not even a full sentence, half of a sentence. Strike the believers wherever you find them. Yeah, but I want to see, what the fuck did it say above? What did it say above? Right. What does it say below? And when you put it into context, you'll quickly notice. And I hope by now, Julian, you've read the book. Have you read it, Julian? Be honest.
Quran, I've not
Be
read
honest.
the book. I will be honest. I've never read
This
the
is the issue. And I say this respectfully. 1 out of 5 people in the world is a Muslim. I've studied Chinese history. I still haven't been to China. I studied it in school. It fascinated me because I say, no, 1 out of 5 people is Chinese. And they have a big impact in the world and on our economy, right? And it's good to know a little bit about the Chinese. If you're there finding yourself hating Muslims and hating Islam, and you've never even, I'm not saying you do, I'm just speaking in general.
No, I know.
If you've never read the book, but you believe the little excerpts you're seeing being posted by non-Muslims, you are the epitome of a fool, an ignorant person, and a hypocrite. So I beg your audience, go read the book. And when you see something that doesn't make sense, ask one of the scholars, ask an imam. You can walk into any mosque. We'll make sure we have baby formula waiting for you. I don't know if you remember that went viral.
I don't know the reference to that.
Okay, well, it was, I don't want to go off tangent, but I'll get to that in 1 second. We'll make sure we have baby formula for your babies. And we'll make sure that we'll answer any questions you have. But predominantly, those verses are defensive in nature. So that's kind of why we felt the need to make the Muslim invasion of America. First of all, we used what the fear is, the Muslim invasion of America, right? That's what's going to happen. Texas, with less than 1% of the population.
You know what's funny about the fake news point he was mentioning before is if you look back at old news narratives such as 9/11 and who they blamed it on, that instilled a lot of hatred in people's hearts for Muslims. And now 20 years later, when people are waking up, oh, wait, that wasn't 25. Actually the Muslims. You know, that was 3-letter agencies working with foreign nations. But let's still hate the Muslims.
No. What about Ghislaine Maxwell on the 9/11 commission before it even happened? Like, what do you call it? I'm sorry, pull it up. There was
That's a real email. Yeah.
Because there's so many emails of corruption.
Do you want to be on the fake 9/11 commission?
But if you
fake 9/11 commission just dropped this week, because this is important. It ties in. Finish your point.
1 second.
God help us, bro.
Thank God you're here. Go ahead, Sonny.
Bro, my patience has been like this.
Good.
Like this, my patience has been dealing with
I love having
back.
a referee here. It's great.
Let's go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's good for someone else to see it. What was I saying, bro? Oh,
fire ass shirt you're wearing, by the way. Go ahead.
I was saying, but if you wake up,
9/11, Muslims,
if you wake up to Muslims didn't do 9/11, then why do you still hate them? Why do you hold that hatred in your heart from that propaganda? That's where it was instilled. Let go of that along with the narrative that they did it.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
They hold the hatred, but they let go of the narrative. It doesn't make any sense, bro.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I could say right now, but I don't want to get too down into the weeds and like lose the point you're making and all that, because there was a lot. 9/11 is like one of the biggest conspiracies of all time, and there were a lot of groups involved. But at the heart of what you're both saying, I think, is actually probably almost an unpopular thing to say right now that needs to be said, which is, you know, we have always fallen short as a human species throughout history of not categorizing all people as a group in some way or whatever. You guys are talking about it, righteously so, with some of the propaganda that was certainly put out about Muslims in the post 9/11 era, and we're going to talk more about that in a minute. But just in general, one thing that even when I get so pissed about things that are going on, that I have to find myself just making sure I step back out of, is judging the individuals I see, right? So when individuals are working from any group together, let's say there's 10 guys from one racial group who are working together and doing something bad, I'm going to call them out and I'm going to separate that from the group itself, right? And sometimes I fall short of that for sure. But what you guys have seen from your own experience as Muslims, you throughout your life, and Sonny, you for eventually... We'll get to your conversion story and all that. But like, you know, you've seen to where that's a continuous thing where an entire group of billions of people is put together all in one basket, and that's not fair.
Almost 2 billion, Julian.
Yeah, it's not, I agree. It's totally unfair.
And
because
it's crazy, bro. Like, it's honestly like to just sit here and see the shit that's going on and the propaganda and the narratives that they spin. Meanwhile, these same people like Tommy Robinson in the UK, Valentina Gomez, how you doing today? How's it going for you? Because I heard
she's pretty cringe.
She's an idiot, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if she's paid to do it or what. I don't know, but how come there's not as much outrage? Now, I've said it on air multiple times. So has Sonny. If they catch Pakistani dudes grooming and taking little girls and kids, bro, we will be the first ones to pull the rope, bro, on the guillotine. I swear to God, bro. Yeah. I swear to God, if they allowed me legally, I'll be the first one. We're not allowed to burn, right, in Islam.
I don't know.
We're not supposed to. That's only for God. But anything else, you could do a triple Becker.
What's the triple Becker?
Well, we have to change it for this, but you hang them slowly so they don't die right away. You lift them in the air. While they're lifted in the air, you open fire on them, and someone's whipping them at the same time.
That's what
they should
Becker.
be doing to everyone on Epstein's list, bro. But in any event, I'm gonna pass the mic to you. But please pull up that email just so we don't forget.
Yeah,
okay? Because I mean, when are too many coincidences? When are there too many coincidences? Building number 7. You know, I didn't know about building number 7 until years later. I was underneath the World Trade Center the day it was hit, Julian. Okay, I was on the E train underneath the building. I watched those buildings come down in front of my eyes. I cried. I was like, let's go and get these motherfuckers. I swear to God, I cheered because my heart was swollen that day. I love my city.
Yeah.
I don't love it anymore.
You don't love it anymore?
It's lost its character completely.
Really?
I don't recognize it. There's a lot of great new buildings going up, but that energy of you could do anything and this is the place everybody wants to be, Julian, it's not there anymore.
You don't think that's there in New York?
Nope. There's still young kids having fun in the streets, but that Wall Street money, that energy, that this is the heart of capitalism. You're going to tell me you feel that there? I mean, I don't know how familiar
you are. It's different. I'll agree. If
especially
you're just
since the
talking
shutdown.
about like, you know, the 80s, 90s kind of like
bro,
center of the world capitalism type thing.
We were about to hit 150 million tourists before shutdown of 20.
Yeah.
Okay. Which, by the way, those seem to be in the emails too. A lot of what happened. And like,
right, don't get off topic though. Let's stay with it.
So for me, it's like, how many coincidences do you need to see as an American, as a free thinker, as a citizen of the world before you say there's something really wrong going on with the world? It's not just the way it has to be, that we have a duty as people, whether we believe in God or not, to be moral and upright and to stand for what's just. That's why when I saw you rant with Lutnick, brother, my heart was full of joy because I don't feel alone in this battle. And it doesn't matter if you're a Muslim, not a Muslim, we can agree on what is right. Right now, we have bigger problems. Christians and Muslims both believe Jesus Christ will return. Let him tell us who was right or wrong. Let's focus on these evil people pushing disgusting things on our children and pulling us into war after war after war. That's not benefiting anybody.
I will admit, we had planned to do this, like 5-6 weeks ago, so before some of this stuff happened. So it's just coincidental that you're here a week and a half after these files came out and everything. But yes, there's a lot to be very negative about right now. Yes, there are groups that need to be called out. Yes, there are establishments that need to be flipped over and changed. I'm not arguing with any of this. We're going to talk about it today. But the one thing that I do try to fight back on the show, whenever I talk with anyone, regardless of what perspective they're coming from, is the complete Doomerville stuff. And I know that's hard to do in a moment like this, and it's contrarian thinking. But when we start saying everything has fallen, the cities are all gone, everything's a dump or whatever, I'm more of an optimist. I'm not saying that I disagree with you, Bek, that the vibe is not different from, say, the 80s and 90s. Even if I wasn't alive during that, I know quite well it's different. You can talk to people who were there. But, like, you know, shit's still standing. I remember when I was wondering if that was going to be a thing at the beginning of 2021 with New York. De Blasio had fucking ruined the whole city, and the pandemic had ruined the city. And somehow, like, it came back. The sun came up. People returned. Is it what it was in the 80s or 90s? Maybe not.
Not even 2019, brother. It
can be. So the whole, like, that's the whole thing, Bek. Like, sometimes I feel like you got the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you're like, it's all gonna end. We're all gonna die. We gotta get the fuck out of here right now. And it's like we gotta tamp that back a little bit and try to see where the sun came up and where the grass is green. You know?
My friend, if we don't take out this network, there ain't gonna be no fucking sun. Not for you, not for me, not for our children. Simple. We could sit here and be positive and kumbaya. And I agree, a positive mindset is a better way to live life. And honestly, the funnest way to live life is the way everyone else is. Bad Bunny, ignorance is bliss. But unfortunately, I think too many people, and I'm not saying you because I consider you on the front line. Doesn't matter if you have my views or not.
On the front line?
The front line of getting to the truth of this life. Why we're here, what the fuck's the purpose, what's really going on in this world, right?
Sure.
So I take my hat off to people like you, Danny Jones, Jimmy Dorey. Okay, anyone that's allowing people to speak so other people can listen and kind of try to maybe see different perspectives or what's really going on. But I tend to have more of like, I think like in the case of Malibu and the Palisades, the way it burned down, I feel like a lot of people, until their fucking roof, not even their neighbor's house is on fire. The minute the first shingle on theirs, that's when they start worrying. I don't think we live in a time, in a world where we can wait anymore until the fire comes to our own home. The nation's on fire. It's been on fire. It's been bled. It's been dissolved. No one should have any influence on our country. I don't care if it's Albania, Israel. I don't give a fuck. China, no one.
How much of that is because we have access to the internet and social media today versus, say, the 1960s when our government whacked the president, we went to Vietnam on a lie, you know, like all this shit, MLK got killed. Like, imagine if social media and the internet was around then. What kind of fucking Epstein files would have been coming out?
I'd say that's the biggest factor and why most people woke up. I don't know a single person my age that would go to the Middle East and die nowadays. Nobody under the age of 25 would want to go die for a foreign nation. It's madness. And I think a lot of people's problems is that we don't like to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes. So even with that, you know, conservative liberal split, like if you put yourself into a liberal shoes, I do think a lot of them do have good intentions, bro. Like,
sure.
So let's say in Islam, let's say you say something disrespectful about the prophet or about God or something in general, but I believe you're sincere. God says in the Quran, repel evil with what is best, like best in speech, best in body language, best in nature. And the one you're in a feud with will be like a close friend. So I think a lot of our problem is that we keep trying to fight fire with fire, and that's only dividing us further apart. And this is why no one's able to come together and do something like fix this. When we have this in front of our faces, that the people that are in charge of our media, our politicians, are not only blackmailed by a foreign nation, but they're doing demonic rituals in front of our eyes.
All right, so a couple things here, Serafino. Number one, if we didn't have access to the internet for all those years and this type of shit was going on, what does that say about now having access to it, that we're this angry and worried about the civilizational risk if we were blissfully ignorant for so long that it was already a thing?
Well, at least the older generation, you can speak on this probably even better than me.
Not that
you guys
old,
at least got to buy a house. You at least, your minimum wage, you were able to afford things and take your girl out. You could have a man running the home and support.
It's been a little crazy.
Only
lately.
20?
Yeah, houses cost $1 million on this side of the water since the early 2000s. So take it easy there, kid.
Okay, my grandparents then. All the women were virgins at that time. You can't even get a wife now. Yes, most of them. Most of them.
Yeah.
Pull it up on my Instagram. You can pull it up if you want. I did a video with my grandma and all her sisters. There's 5 of them.
Whores.
I said, what made a woman a whore back in the day? I asked my grandma this. She goes, one was a tramp, more than one was a hoa. Or how many people you've slept
Fucking
with.
Ralphie Silver.
The greatest
right
accent.
This isn't even 60 years ago.
Yo, shout out to his grandmother and his aunts, bro. Amazing cooks, bro.
But the point that I was making before was how they're blowing up kids in front of the world and then gaslighting us about it. If they really wanted to wipe, if they really wanted to just get rid of the Palestinians, they didn't have to do it how they did in front of the whole world, bro.
And
Why
they
do you
made
think they're
another.
doing that?
This is where you go back to prophecy and you go back to what is the spiritual side of things. Do you want to take this one?
I just wanted to add they made a catastrophic mistake in their approach. If they were smart, if their intelligence and the ones pushing all this propaganda were smart, they would have stuck to just dehumanizing Arabs. Instead, they wanted to pull in 2 billion people. You see, when you say all Muslims are this and all, now you're talking about me. You should have stuck to dehumanizing Arabs. You guys have done a great job in Hollywood. You've never seen an Arab ever look even halfway normal in a movie or cartoon ever. But they're the minority. They're 19% of Muslims. Did you know that? They're only 19% of Muslims. So when you talk about the faith, now you're poking a massive bear.
Right.
Now you're poking 2 billion people. And we've covered this on your show. I believe it was with you too, and Danny, that Muslims throughout history, if you pull it up, if you're being fair, if you're actually looking at it in context, have always shielded the Jews. Always. Even in Albania, which was predominantly Muslim at the time, even though Christians did help in those actions when the Germans took over. Throughout history, we protected them. They talk about the Muslims invading Spain. Have you read the history? The Goth kingdoms.
Yeah.
They didn't invade. They were invited in. Half the kingdom was fighting the other half. You know this.
I'm familiar. By the way, I'm familiar
I
with
wasn't.
this history, but I'm
Hey,
not.
I wasn't. Half of the Goth kingdom was fighting the other half because it wasn't called Spain. They ended like, hey, Moors, can you come help us win? Because we don't want this other half of us. They were fighting each other. The Muslims came in, and it was a golden age in European history. Literally a golden age. All 3 religions practiced in Spain. Inventions advanced. Jews flourished like flowers in spring in Andalusia. Everyone, I dare you to read the history of Andalusia. An amazing.
Andalusia? Can we pull that up?
It's what it was called during the Moors when they controlled that part of Spain. But I want to remind people, they didn't come as conqueror. They were invited by half of that kingdom. Okay? So the way the history is portrayed, the way it's spun, the way they try to paint this faith only benefits one group of people right now. To distract from what's been going on in the Middle East for the last 24, 25 now years, and dehumanization is the number one tool used by any occupiers. But we won't excuse what the Chinese did to the Uyghurs. I still mention them. What's going on in Sudan, okay? They're not off the hook. And I agree with other Jews when they say, but what about Sudan? But okay, so let me justify one horrible thing, but they're doing it too. That's not a fucking excuse. I'm sorry.
It's not. No, that's
Okay,
never.
but that's what they do. But what about this? No, I am. See, I'm one of them ones calling them all out. Everyone, whether it's an Arab country doing it or it does. Human beings have rights, and especially in the faith of Islam. And anyone that's not following that, in my opinion, you ain't a Muslim.
Well, there's another thing I keep thinking here as you're talking about Muslims, Christians, and Jews, and then I can apply this to any of the other major religions as well. It's like that, and I'll admit it, like I do it too, but that's also like the starting problem with the conversation because we box up, a billion people. In the case of Islam, so almost 2 billion people, you box up a similar number with Christians, you box up, millions of Jews all into one box and refer to it as a monolith, when in fact, your Christian neighbor who goes to church on Sunday and lets you think whatever you do and doesn't drag their opinions onto you and everything is a very different type of Christian than someone who's in like a Christian cult that thinks that like anyone who thinks anyone that commits a sin should be executed or something like that. Same thing with an Albanian Muslim versus a hardcore Sharia law Muslim living in Iran or something like that. These are people that are not even on the same planet. They don't have any tie to each other. They claim that the tie is religion, but the way that they view that lens of religion are 2 entirely different things. So I think we also have to separate out the conversation when we're talking about this, and that's why anytime we're talking about any type of group or whatever, I get uptight about that because it's like I don't want to ever define people by one thing, and that has happened with Islam for sure. It has happened with the Arab community for sure, and that's why you're here talking about it. But like it happens all over to all different groups, even when we think it's something that's like not as much, vitriol going at it. What happens when suddenly it is,
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, we try to be as specific as we can when we're talking about subjects. You know what I mean? We never try to group like a whole group. And just like the way we say, not all Catholic priests are pedos. And they're not pedos because of Catholicism.
Right.
The same way we don't say, you know, all Jews are extremists. It's just not true. I have plenty of Jewish friends. My best friend that was Jewish, Ben Bader, shout out him. He just passed away a few years ago. It broke my heart. 25-year-old kid. So, yeah, I get what you're saying, bro.
Yeah. It's just
We
like,
try to do a good job at that.
yeah, this is a real, there is so much fucked up shit right now. Again, we're talking about the doomer versus optimism argument. Even if you're an optimist like me, you got to admit there's a lot of fucked up shit going on. And the way that we handle it, where it's like, instead of continuing to fight so horizontally, we need to focus on fighting vertically, right? And I think in the vertical direction, there's all different types of groups of people from all over the world. If you want to call it a group, call it like the globalist coalition, if you will. That is, I love the pizza example. I'm going to keep using it, Sonny. Like, they keep slicing us up in all these ways. And as long as we use our little microphones here to cutely fucking yell about it and whatever all the time and just focus on a couple different things that they tell us to focus on, we're not going to change shit. That said, when we see something drop like what just did with Epstein, and it is a wide, vast money laundering, arms dealing, intergovernment, sex trafficking, you name it, laundry list of stuff here.
Global.
That attaches to everyone. That is the exact type of situation we should all coalesce around, because it can actually change the system if we do something about it.
Julian, I have a question for you. If you were to put 1 million people in and around Times Square, packed, and you had to have them unify on one thing to where there's no fighting, bickering, and everyone's peaceful together, what would that be?
Ooh, that's an amazing question. No one's fighting and no one's bickering?
Nope, they're stepping on feet and whatnot, but they're all brothers. They get along.
Different ethnicities, groups, languages,
All over, people from all over the world.
races. What could unify them in that such a way?
If I could unify them under one thing, I would say forget religion, forget creed, forget all that. Something created us, and it was the same thing. We may not all know the answer, but the same thing created all of us, and let's just accept the fact we're only here for a second, and let's enjoy it while we're here. That's what I would unify us
Brother,
on.
you nailed that. Submission to one creator, bro. Submission to one creator. I know you wanted to talk about Islam a little bit. Do you know much about the actual faith itself or anything?
Assume I don't.
Assume you don't. Do you know what the word Islam in itself means?
Isn't it peace?
No.
No?
It's one of the meanings. It is one of the meanings. Salama, he's correct. It's one of the meanings.
But
Good.
the word exactly. Look up. Are you on Google right now? Look up submission to the will of God, translated to Arabic. I'm going to wait a second because I want you to see this.
Also, I think we said this. I just want to make sure that Ghislaine email is real. Deef has had it on the screen.
It is real.
She says-
It is real. No, I'm saying it's real. It's real. It's real. It's real.
I mean, that's accurate. She says, thanks for
real.
the invite. Unfortunately, I cannot be on the Shadow Commission. And this is from 2003. And it's referring to the Shadow Commission on 9/11, which she was invited to in the email below her by someone named Ed Epstein.
Ed J. Epstein.
Yeah.
Did you find it? Yeah. Islam. So if you were to directly translate in English, submission to the will of God, you would get the word Islam. That's the direct translation. The direct translation. Now, do you know what the word Muslim means?
No.
Look up one who submits their will to God, translated to Arabic. Muslim. So if you were to directly translate one who submits their will to God, you would have the word Muslim. We're not called Mohammedans for a reason. We don't believe that Islam started with the Prophet Muhammad. Did you know that?
You don't?
No.
No.
Where do you think it started?
Adam. Even before Adam, actually. So we believe there's two free-willed creations on earth, humans and jinn, which would be like spirits or demons. So they also...
Refer back to the last episode with Julian.
Oh,
Dorey.
it comes up all the time. Like
he went deep on that. So you remember how he said how the unseen creation, jinn, they have free will as well, right?
Jinn!
The jinn.
The
As
genie.
Bek says.
So they were actually on earth first. And then God created Adam, right? So this is why we say all the prophets and messengers of God were Muslim because they all submitted their will to God. Every single one of them. Abraham wasn't Christian, wasn't Jewish. He was a Muslim.
The word didn't even exist. Those words didn't even exist.
David, Noah, they were all Muslims. They all preached worship God alone.
Moses didn't walk around saying, I'm a Jew.
Wait, so you're saying like figuratively?
No, literally.
No,
like
literally,
we believe in all the
literally.
messengers, bro. Every single messenger that Christianity and Judaism
But did
believes
they
in.
identify that way, or do you guys identify them as that because of what they did?
Can I?
You answer that one.
You got this or no?
No, you take it.
Let the spiritual leader do it.
So what the Muslims,
leader
what the
says
Muslim says is the concept of worshiping the one creator has always existed. The word we use is the Arabic meaning of that word, but the concept of submitting to the one creator, or as we call it, the God of Abraham, has always existed. God did not choose just any nation. He chose the Israelites to give revelation, but he didn't choose them above humanity. He chose them to deliver the message. So what we're trying to say is Adam was the first human being created, Adam and Eve, right? And they were in a state of submission to the creator, right? So they were Muslims because of how they lived their lives. The concept of submitting to the one God is why, if you look at all the scriptures, they all worshiped God the same way, as I also mentioned on previous episodes with you. It's the same reason why Jesus in Matthew 26, verses 36 through 39, prayed with his head on the ground. So what we say is God sent prophets and messengers throughout time, throughout history. He didn't just choose one nation. He sent prophets and messengers. Sometimes they were sent just to remind people of the message that came before them. Jesus Christ didn't come to change anything. He came down and lived as what you would call a Jew. That word didn't exist. The word Jew was more from modern history. They were the Israelites. The Israelites were Muslim, meaning they submitted to the God of Abraham. They worshiped the one God. We broke this on Danny Jones. We broke this on you. Viral many times, thanks to both of you, that the word Allah is the cognate of all three religions. Ilah or Elohim, Allah in the Arabic, and Allah in the language of Christ. Christ didn't speak English, bro.
Spoke Aramaic.
He didn't speak Italian. He spoke Aramaic.
He might have spoken some Italian.
So one who submits their will, Sonny just showed you, one submitting their will to God, and the word for God means Muslim, right, in Arabic. If we took the Aramaic, and I want you to do your Shalom Aleik because it's a great bit.
Let's do it.
You do it. It's like Muslim tag teaming here. So when someone is submitting to Allah, which is what Jesus did, or Elohim, which is what Moses did, they are submitting to the same God. It's the same word. So the concept of a Muslim has always existed. One who puts God before everything else.
Yeah, so we're not saying that Christians and Muslims have the same God. What Christians call the Father, like the God that Jesus prayed to in the Bible, that's who we would say is the only true God and the only being worthy of worship. Does that make sense?
The unseen.
It totally makes sense, like on a definitive level, like what it is. And I wonder this about everyone who's, very devout in an organized religion. Does it matter to you that your religion is right when technically you, nor the person that would say you're wrong, whoever they may be, knows the answer to it while we're here on Earth?
Well, we believe it's our, part of our job to simply deliver the message clearly and cohesively. So we don't believe that we can force anyone to convert. God says in the Quran, there's no compulsion in religion. So I don't even like debating, bro, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, it's harmful.
He's done a debate. I said, don't do it. I don't want him to do any more debates. I never plan on doing a debate in my entire life. I believe the truth speaks for itself. I mean, Julian, do you believe there's nothing worthy of worship except our creator?
Sure.
Do you believe that there's angels?
I don't know if I've ever actually, that's funny. I don't know if I've ever thought, like, if I fully believe in that. Probably, yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that this creator sent messengers?
I don't know.
So we can stop there and tackle this one point right here. Men throughout time came claiming to be a messenger on behalf of their creator.
Right.
Abraham said, he's not just some guy that's spiritual and he's fasting and he's like, this is a way of life, some people say meditating, some people say yoga is a way of life. No, he came saying, I got a message from a creator to speak with humanity. They're directly claiming to be the one that's communicating to humanity on behalf of God, right? So then you have to look at the evidences at the time for why are they a true prophet or not. Prophet meaning messenger. Mm-hmm. So with Abraham, what was his miracle? He was thrown into a fire at his time, and he survived.
His own father threw him into it.
His own family threw him into a fire, and he survived and came
He's
out.
considered the
all
father
all
of
the all the people around him were idol worshippers. He was calling them to worship God alone. At the time of Moses, he literally split the sea. And all of the prophets claimed to. They all called you to worship God alone. Jesus, what did he do? He walked on water. He turned a clay bird into life. He did plenty of miracles for the people. He spoke from the cradle in Islam. There's actually miracles about Jesus.
From the cradle?
Yes, there's miracles in Islam about Jesus that the Bible doesn't actually acknowledge. One very logical one being him speaking as a baby.
Yeah. So
Like how young we're talking?
So we're
A baby,
talking
like
literally
out the womb.
Within infancy. So and just to hit this point first, because it's important what he was saying, and we'll get to that. So it's important to know that basically, God didn't make faith where you have to you need someone to teach you. I don't come from a religious family. Sonny didn't even come from a Muslim family, and he found Islam. I didn't know Sonny before he became a Muslim. I had nothing to do with it. So, we believe that a lot of these revelations were sent down. They were corrupted, okay? Christians didn't have access to the Bible for almost 1,500 years. Sonny actually refreshed my memory on that one. They didn't have access. Regular Christians did not have access to the Bible, their own book, for almost 1,500 years. Forget about when he lived and didn't live. Forget the fact that it was compiled after his death. Until the printing press came and there was translations, they did not even have access. The only way they could access it was through the clergy. So, in the Quran, thousands of his followers had it memorized, committed to heart. They're known as the Hafiz. This is a phenomenon that Ramadan's next week. I fucking dare you to come, Julian.
Go where?
I dare you to come just one night this Ramadan and witness it yourself. Watch the Imam sing the book without even looking at it. If he makes one mistake of a syllable, just one syllable off, the entire congregation, most of them can correct him. It's literally, they could destroy every Quran on earth within an hour. I'm not making this up, Julian. But Jesus said in John 15, John 16, because people talk about miracles. All of the prophets of God did miracles, okay? John the Baptist, they chopped his head off. Jesus Christ, based on Christianity, they want to hang him up like a piñata and torture him to death. We don't believe that happened to him. So every prophet had miracles, but the miracle of Islam is the book itself, because there will be no more prophets. There will be no more messengers. We do believe Jesus comes back to finish his mission.
You guys view him as
the Messiah.
Prophet.
The Messiah, yeah.
The Messiah. He spoke from the minute he was born.
Meeting the chosen one, yeah.
Okay?
Interesting.
His mother was a virgin. We believe that. She has her own chapter in the Quran. It's called Mary. It talks about his life. It talks about it from the second he was created, Julian. And by the way, you grow that hair any longer, you're going to look like Jesus. You're starting to look like him. There's pictures of him that he looks just like you, bro. He looks like a member of the Bee Gees. He looks like the pictures they have of Christ, he literally looks like he's one of the members of the Bee Gees. This is why God said in the Ten Commandments, before Christ, before God, based on Christianity, came down himself, supposedly, he said what? I am one God. I'm a jealous God. Don't make pictures, don't make images, don't make statues. What did they do in Christianity? Violate the Ten Commandments. What did God say in the Old Testament to Moses? Because Moses spoke to God through the burning bush, right? That was a veil, because no human being can see God directly, even the ones that spoke to him, like we believe Moses did and Abraham did. What did God do? Moses asked God in Exodus 33. Pull it up. And I'm going to drop my plane here and you carry on with that. Shalom Aleik. Relax. You've been speaking for minutes. I know you're antsy.
I'm chilling. Do I look like I'm not straight chilling?
I read your body language.
Look
Julian
like
doesn't know.
Straight chilling.
Straight chilling.
You're chilling. Yeah,
So
he's
getting back to the point, I like to rage.
I'm just letting you cook, Bek.
My thing is this, Julian. If Christians believe that, and it's not to attack them. This is like bringing up common sense is not an attack. It's I'm asking you, explain to me why with logic. Moses spoke to God. We believe that also. Spoke to God directly, even in Islam. Mm-hmm. He asked God in Exodus 33, I think it's verse 20. Okay, most Christians can't even quote my book except the one verse. Chop their heads off. Fucking chop their heads out of context. What does he say? In Exodus 33, verse 18, then Moses said, now show me your glory. God, I want to see you. And the Lord said, I will cause my goodness to pass in front of you, and I will proclaim thy name to the Lord. And verse 20, but he said, you cannot see my face, because no one can see my face and live. God said, you cannot see me in human form and live. Did God forget? Because he wrote the Old Testament. They said, you know what? Not only are you going to see me, I'm going to come down myself. I'm going to look like one of the members of the Bee Gees. and do all these miracles that he didn't do until he was 30 years old in Christianity. Till 30, he did nothing. He came down, built some chairs and tables. In the religion of Islam, the first miracle was
Speaking as a baby, defending his mother's
defend
honor.
the honor.
Defending his mother's honor.
Yes. She didn't have a husband. We believe that. She was a virgin. We believe that.
Wait, what about Joseph? He was.
That's the Christian version of it. No man
you
ever.
guys don't have Joseph, and
We don't have him as her husband. She was a virgin. She didn't need protection. She had the protection of Almighty God himself.
Wait, now I'm. You ever like get fucked up in your head?
Yes,
where
because
you're
you
like,
mix the different stuff
yeah.
up.
I'm mixing.
We
it
have
together.
that problem too.
'Cause she's the Virgin Mary, obviously.
Peace be upon her. Peace be upon her.
In the Bible, but then she takes Joseph. She has Joseph as a husband,
as a
so
protector and a husband.
right.
Yeah.
So she's a virgin. Jesus is conceived, miraculously and spiritually, and she's a virgin. But then she is married. So does she stay a virgin the whole way through? This is where my Christianity is losing me. Or is that like she's in a lawful marriage? And what is the belief
I think the
system?
Christian perspective is she was married to him, and it was like basically a cover for her, right? But people can comment better, right? I don't claim to be an expert.
Yeah,
1,000%.
I'm not. I'm
From
sure
the Islamic
people are gonna get heated with
perspective,
the
from the
question,
Muslim,
but,
from the Muslim perspective, she was not married. She was a virgin. Because she was not married, and because no one knew she had a husband, they knew her as a daughter of the house of Jacob. She was under lock and key the entire time she was pregnant with Christ for her own protection. Because Israelite law was if you commit adultery, you're stoned to death. It's not a Sharia thing. Kosher law. You commit adultery. That was what it was. It's the same laws of the Old Testament. So for her own protection, she's under lock and key. And to make the story short, when she's time to give birth to Christ, she's commanded to go out from the town, whether it was Bethlehem or wherever she was at that point. She was somewhere in that region. She delivers Christ. God tells her, you'll go back to the city, the town. You will not speak to anybody. If anyone approaches you, point to the baby. This is in the Quran, chapter Mary. You can pull it up. We believe when she returned holding a baby, they knew she was a virgin. The Israelites, gathered around her. Because we all know what ended up with her happening to her son anyway, right? How they viewed him. They gathered against her. And they wanted to stone her to death. They were calling her every slur you could call a woman. A whore, a this, a that. How could you have a baby? You don't have a husband married, okay? And Jesus Christ's first miracle was to speak as an infant. Do not attack my mother, for she is blessed in this life and the next, and I am the Messiah you wait for. When they see this baby talk, they parted like the Red Sea.
That's a bar.
And moved out of their way because clearly a baby's talking saying he's the Messiah. I'm getting out of the way now. Okay, I'm sorry for stopping you. So his first miracle was to defend the honor and dignity of his own mother based on Islam. Christianity, 30 years, he comes down. His first miracle is to bring us wine so we could fucking drunk drive. I've lost so many family members and friends that have died in car accidents, beat the shit out of their spouses. Not my friends, but just people in general.
That wasn't the intention, though. That's
my friend,
kind of taken it
it
too
is,
literally.
Based on the Muslim perspective, it was inspired by the devil himself. The creation of alcohol.
Inspired by the devil.
Creation of alcohol.
To destroy humanity.
Yeah.
Intoxicants,
Yes.
spirits.
Okay, all right, fine.
And they found it in ancient Egypt, right? You know why they found beer in ancient Egypt? I guarantee you, because we covered this on your show. Black magic. Pharaoh did black magic. They communicated with these same beings that everyone wants to call the Anunnaki. Everyone wants to call fucking aliens.
I call them the Anunnaki.
We're the fucking aliens. I told this to you. We fell from the heavens. Sonny, I'm going to shut
Remember
the
that?
fuck up.
That was a Bek bar. I call them the Anunnaki.
The Anunnaki. Yeah, you remember that line, you see?
Billy Carson.
So it's a soul on arson.
I love how you say that. Like there's a real flavor in your voice.
Well, he ended up having a few things happen after that time period.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you could see the wisdom in why Islam forbids things at its core. You know, everyone that's had a couple drinks knows that you get that little voice in your head. Let's get hammered. Let's go out. Let's get hammered. Stopping it at its inception, the root, no drinking at all, not even a sip, it doesn't open the door to then go and get drunk. And then obviously you know that when you get drunk, your spiritual shield has a bunch of holes in it so the demonic realm can mess with you. And that's why you're more susceptible to listening to their whispers. So when you get that whisper, watch that website, pull it up. You didn't get no action tonight, or go out or text that girl.
Alcohol,
because you're more susceptible in a drunken state. Does that make sense?
It does. I think this is one of those things, though, where it also is another example of what moderation can be. Do I think that a human being is healthier drinking water than alcohol? Of course I do. It's scientifically proven. Alcohol is literal technical poison in your blood. But do I think that life is worth living and you can have a good time and you can do things responsibly using your own free will to do things responsibly? Yes. Do I think that sometimes people fall short of that? Some people far more than others in many cases, right? Yeah. I think that's a part of the range of human nature, though. I'm not saying that like, oh, it's this amazing thing or whatever, but I argue with pretty much anything in society that argues against equilibrium, right? Equilibrium is met by two opposite forces attracting each other to create what the answer should be. If those opposite forces are both right here, it's a lighter creation. It's healthy. When they're out here, now you have violence. So if I go out and I drink fucking 3 handles of Jack Daniels and then, drunk drive and kill someone, oh, well, that's probably pretty devilish. I think I'd agree with that, right? But if I, spend my whole life in a convent and don't do anything and don't have a good time or whatever and claim it's for the best and don't live my life, and that's just one of the experiences I kind of miss, not the extreme, but you know what I mean, like having a good time drinking, I don't know that that's a good trade-off either. And I think that when people look at with any religion, when they look at strict adherence with Christianity, with Judaism, with Islam, there's strict adherences
Islam
in
strict
all
the
those,
entire time, brother.
in all those religions. And we can talk about that, but there's some very strict adherences. There's a difference between an Albanian Muslim, as we said, and someone Sharia, but I think that we got to strike more of a balance rather than just be like, we're going to root out all this stuff. You know what I mean, Sonny?
Root out what? If you could.
Meaning you talk about root out alcohol at the base and it's just completely evil and there's nothing good about it. Mm-hmm. I don't think you have to look at life that way. I think that's kind of a cynical way to look at life.
Islam doesn't give you the solution to just fix problems. Like you become an alcoholic and then you go to Islam to fix it. It stops things at its root core. And Islam, even the way the Quran talks about banning alcohol, you remember the verse?
Forbidden to you are all forms of intoxicants and gambling, for they were created by the devil, by Satan, to create hatred between you.
But not just that. Not drinking, I'm paraphrasing this right here, but there's more harm than there is good.
Facts.
So overall, there's more harm in drinking and what comes of it, bro. I know from my own family.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that.
My own family, bro. Every time there's a fight or some stuff going on, and then sisters don't talk to each other for years, always starts with drinking. Every single time.
To create hatred.
It's been a net negative 1,000%. And I've looked at my family. I'm the youngest one in basically the whole family, and I stopped drinking. I'm the only one that doesn't. I'm like, if we just stopped doing this one thing, everything would be 10 times better. 10 times better. And it's fascinating. But to get back to the point.
Can I just hit one point here? Because we're talking about alcohol.
Yeah, you go.
Julian, in the United States of America alone, look, if he pulls it up here, okay, 178,000 people died last year. We're talking about Gaza and this and that, and oh my God.
From excessive alcohol use.
Okay, we have a fucking war right here spiritually. We're losing more people than people lose in wars, just to alcohol. That's not all the other damage. That's not the kid growing up without his mom or the mom growing up without her child because he got hit by a drunk driver. The families it destroys, the divorces that it causes, which we all know leads to single-parent homes. Okay? I miss it sometimes too. I was one of the kings of New York nightlife. You want to talk about fucking
what happened?
handles?
That's when
Brother,
I knew you.
You want to talk about handles? You want to talk about...
If you buy a drink in New York, I'll eat my hat.
I got that shit on lockdown still. I don't go out. But my point is this, Julian. The amount of damage. So Islam says because so many... We can't sit here and say, Julian, just a few people have a drinking problem. I fucking dare you to pull up AA meetings just in this town.
Yeah, I want to make sure, and I'm sure people are going to mishear what I said there. Seen that in my own family. I've seen that in my own friends. There are people that have issues where it is destruction for sure. I'm not
I know you're
saying that that's not the case. I'm just, anytime anything, and this has been the story of my life and the story of anyone who's ever heard me talk on any issue, anytime anything goes hardcore, this or that, just 0 or 100, I always push back on that on this show, and that's what I'm doing. Because you pull this up, Deef, can you Google how many people died in car accidents last year?
And that's probably because of drunk driving. But here's
hold
my point.
on. How many people died in non-drunk driving related car accidents last year? 28 to 29,000 people annually die in the U.S. from non-drunk driving traffic.
30% of them are from what?
No.
I know, but
I'm saying, but I just asked for the ones that aren't involved with that. So the 28 to 29,000 is the ones that aren't involved. Does that mean we all shouldn't drive cars?
No, it says 30% of that.
30% of that. So almost a third of that.
Approximately die annually in the U.S. from non-drunk driving traffic accidents.
Yeah.
While roughly it's a separate 30%.
Oh, it's a separate 30%?
Yes,
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. The 28 to 29 is non-drunk driving accidents.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, again, that's not 178,000, to be clear. Let's line up the numbers,
that was
apples to
all
apples.
alcohol-related deaths.
Yes, I understand
Okay?
that.
That we can account for.
Right.
That doesn't include the divorce it
But
creates.
I'm saying...
the domestic violence it creates. The fucking...
That's right.
Right? You can't keep your dick in your pants because you had a couple of fucking brewskis.
That's... Bek, for 1 second,
Destruction.
please. I'm just saying. Like... This is the one thing with you. You are so fucking, it's gotta be this way about everything. And I love your passion, bro. Because people sometimes, you may say things where it's like, man, this guy's cooking for 80%. And then that last 20%, you just drunk drive off a bridge, no pun intended. And I'm just saying, like, just be a little more open to like, well, maybe there's light here or light there. And that's why I don't subscribe to organized religions at all. I listen, I have guys like Wes Huff in here. I have guys like you in here. I let these guys talk. I let Wes Huff talk. If people are out there upset, I'm not pushing back on stuff. I want to hear your perspective and whatever. And then there's some things I'll push back on. But like whenever organized religion turns into its dogma, this is what you have to do. This is when you do it. This is why you do it. It feels robotic and groupthink to me. And I say that about all of them.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. This is why I mentioned earlier, Bek, you're supposed to, both of us, repel evil with what is best. You know what I'm saying? Even when the Quran was being revealed. So just so you have a little bit of understanding of how the Quran actually came down, because it's important for this point, it was one verse at a time. So it wasn't like the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, sat in a cave and had a feather and was thinking about some wisdom that he experienced in his life and he should write down for humanity to apply. No, he was receiving revelation one piece at a time from God. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So he would receive it. It's literally God's words. We don't believe the Prophet Muhammad wrote the Quran. We believe it's literally the words of our Creator explaining to us how to live properly. So it was revealed over a period of 23 years, right? Alcohol wasn't forbidden for over a decade, bro. Over a decade. As Muslims, we're not commanded to go around and tell people all about the rules, about put this on your head and stop drinking and this and that. We're first called to invite people to worship God alone, right? And then I'm not sure what the exact order after that, but then the angels. And did God send prophets and books? And does he have a divine decree over everything? And judgment day. These are things that are much more important than just diving right into the rules, because at the end of the day, we believe that God is the most compassionate and the most merciful. So this whole life isn't just about sins, bro. It's not just about doing more good than your sins. A lot of it stems from your intention. So there's going to be plenty of non-Muslims that go to heaven that didn't get the message of Islam. And there's going to be plenty of Muslims that go to heaven. That go to hell because they had guidance and they still disobeyed. And they did good actions with the wrong intentions. But let me just finish this point, bro. Like, the U.S. about 100 years ago tried to forbid alcohol. How did that go?
Not well.
How did that go? It only propped up gangsters.
Yep.
1,400 years ago, a man who couldn't read or write came and said, he didn't even say it, it was God in the Quran, forbidding alcohol. Now over 2 billion people don't drink because of that, 1,400 years ago. So this is why, me and Bek I like our dynamic, but I really want to stick to the beauty. And teaching the good side of things, because even if Islam, these are people, think about this for a second. Play the hypothetical with me. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he is a messenger of our Creator. Like literally the Creator outside of time sent this man to communicate with humanity.
Would you mind telling the story of him when you're done this point, just for people out there who actually aren't familiar and just hear the name all the time, but finish the point. I just want to hear.
So this is, play hypothetical for a second. This is truly a creator. A messenger on behalf of our Creator. Bro, that means the people at his time, they're receiving the true message from a literal messenger of God, and it still took them 10 years to stop drinking, to stop doing these sins, right? So then as Muslims, we look around and we expect we're gonna go on podcasts and just try to shove our rules in people's throats, and even a messenger of God didn't do that. They're receiving revelation and information from one of literally the wisest man to ever walk the earth. as we believe, one of the best examples ever. And even they needed a decade to then first fall in love with God and fall in love with thinking about the afterlife and the idea of Judgment Day. And then slowly their heart softens and they lose love for that sin. You know what I'm saying? So what did you want me to explain?
I want you to explain the origin of Muhammad and the actual story, not just what people hear in, a one-sentence description on some fucking news show.
Yeah, so the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was born in Mecca. I believe his parents passed away at a younger age, right? And it wasn't until, what was he, in his 40s or 50s that he received revelation? So he was known in Mecca at the time as the trustworthy person. I believe the word is al-amin, right?
Yeah, he was known as a very noble person in that society, which was called the time of ignorance. They were literally burying their daughters alive before he came. Okay, they were into all kinds of superstitions and worshiping statues and thousands of gods. And they were like a really rough society. Like they were very nasty even with each other before he came. So whenever they had an argument, even before his prophethood, they would say, well, let's go to Muhammad to resolve it. So peace be upon him. His character was well established long before he became a prophet, right? Yeah. He was basically someone that everyone said, this is the only person that's actually honest amongst us. Let's go to him. And the same people that he came to bring this message of there's only one God, the same ones that went to him whenever they had a problem, whenever they had a dispute, turned around and wanted to kill the man. Once he started saying there's only one God. He could have had power in so many different ways. So to us, that's one of the signs and proof of his prophethood. But one more point real quickly. And the reason, everything he said before is I agree with. This is not a religion that tells you right away, cover your head and this and that. And I've been, married. My wife's, you cannot force anybody in this faith. Because that's not faith, Julian. That's not true belief. As far as alcohol is concerned, what it inspires is, hey, I know this harms my fellow human being. I know it's not a small percentage of the population that's struggling with these problems. This is a big problem in America and the West. Alcohol, drugs. I've buried more than enough people in my life. And I know a lot of your audience has too. And it's not just because of, fentanyl. Okay, this has been going on for a long time in our country. It's been destroying our families. So what the Muslim looks at it like is these are my brothers and sisters in humanity. Yeah, me and you can be moderate. Yeah, we could probably, I'm going to be real. I had a good time back then, but God forgive me for it. Me and you could have one or two, a lot of people can, but so many, it's not a small percentage. Many can't. Yeah. So many can't. So because our fellow brothers and sisters struggle so much with that, we as a family, the human family say, no, this is causing too much harm. And even though, me and you could drink a nice band. You don't think I miss Opus, bro? You don't think I miss Camus, or whatever the fuck it was called? Bro, yeah, I miss the taste of wine. I'm not going to lie. But I don't miss what it did to people I know, my fellow neighbors, and how many. I've been to over 100 funerals, bro, at least in my lifetime.
What got you, because obviously, like, your background as being family from Albania, and like, you have Islam in your background, but what got you so back in touch with the faith in recent years?
It was going through adversity, man. I lost a very close family member. It was devastating to me. And I was off the path. I was indulging in the material world and drinking and partying and pump up the jam, pump it. So I was in that world, right, for a long time, Julian. But, it took losing a very close family, member, and then just seeing the aftermath, all these people I thought that are really my friends. And, once the drinking and the lights are off, no one really gives a shit about you. All these people you meet in the nightlife don't really give a fuck about you. They're just your friends in misery, because misery loves company. We're all distracted by these illusions of music and dancing. And meanwhile, we're wasting the most precious thing we have. You don't waste time. I've seen how hard you grind. I've seen you since 3 years ago, Julian. Okay? I know how hard you work. I know literally every time I've come or message you or anything, I know how much of a fucking grind you've put into this. And that's why I'm very happy, because you're proof. Focus on something with everything you got. But in any event, so that's what it is.
Free will, though? You think
there is free will,
to be an element of
but
that?
There's the game board is rigged. The game board is rigged. You could have been born Tyrone Johnson. You had no control over your birth and where your soul was placed. Am I wrong? He could have been born Carlos Hernandez and being chased by who knows right now. My point is, you had no control over your birth.
That's right.
So we believe, through God's divine wisdom, the game board of life. This is a simulation created by our Creator. That's what this is.
Simulation.
Yeah, it's His world. He doesn't need this to sustain Himself. He created this. I believe it's something he created to test humanity. I believe we had a choice in it too. I don't think it was against that. I think that I don't know. There's something that only he has knowledge of that we're all going to find out once this is over. This wasn't by accident. I've seen too many coincidences in my life to know that this is not by chance or random. Even me and him meeting each other, even you being here, where you are in proximity. Don't want to dox myself. To me, I don't find it by accident, bro. I think the longer you live, you start seeing all the coincidences, and you're like, okay, this is really strange. Like there's
definitely something strange.
We're not here by accident, bro. I mean, do you believe at least that we're not here by accident?
Oh, I agree. I think it's the biggest miracle ever that you're even born. What is it? Like it's 1 in 4 trillion chance you even
grew
have
from
to
a
be
drop
born.
of liquid, bro.
And how were you swimming in your dad's ball, Sonny?
Right.
Like this. We were like this, and we made it, bro. They're like, all right, you guys ready? You want to talk about the Olympics?
Sonny, how does a Italian kid from Boston? I mean, you already kind of alluded to it. You had some drinking in your family that you saw, but how does an Italian kid from Boston make the switch to Islam at what age? 20 or 21?
20. So it's been just about 2 years now.
Yeah. What were all the things that brought that on?
The biggest thing is something called my fitra. My fitra. This is the Arabic word for it. It means your innate disposition, your innate knowledge. So you acknowledge we have a creator, right? Mm-hmm. And this creator placed some things inside of you innately, knowing that murder is wrong. You don't need a book to tell you that killing someone's wrong or stealing is wrong. You feel that inside of your heart. So this is what we would refer to as our fitra, our innate disposition, right? So when receiving the message of Islam, everything aligned so much with what I already believed in my heart, I couldn't even put it into words, such as this life being a test, such as praying to God alone. I grew up Catholic, so I was taught when you lose your keys, or I lost my green Skittles once, pray to St. Anthony to find that. I never did that stuff. I didn't pray to Jesus or anything, and that's no shade to anyone that does, but me personally, when I'm trying to connect with the higher power, I always pray to God alone, right? Aspects of praying 5 times a day, waking up with the sun, going to sleep with the sun, this life being a test. I'm not sure if I already said that. But basically everything that I kept learning about Islam, it was like what I already believed, and it was just reaffirming it. And then I didn't even want to jump right into, stopping drinking and stop talking to women and this and that. Are you familiar with how you become Muslim? Do you know the process?
No.
You go to Mecca, and then they have to kill a cow, and then they take the blood, and no. You say one sentence, bro.
You could have kept that bit going. I would have followed.
Hey, but how crazy is that? You would have just listened.
I would have listened.
You say one sentence to become a Muslim.
One sentence.
One sentence. Do you believe there's nothing worthy of, and this isn't a gotcha. This is not a gotcha. Do you believe there's nothing worthy of worship except our Creator?
Yes.
That's the most important piece. Yeah. That's the most important piece, and stick to that forever. That is the most important aspect of this entire test that we're in. And the second part of that sentence is, do you believe that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the final messenger from our Creator? Which you haven't looked into it. Right. So I'm not expecting you to answer that right now. But you literally just say that statement. There's nothing worthy of worship except our Creator. Say that right now if you believe it. Say it. If you die tomorrow, that could be the ticket of getting in. And I believe that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the final messenger.
And then you're a Muslim.
And then you're a Muslim. That's it.
As long as you
That's
you know what?
No, but that's the first pillar.
You got a snip too, or is it doesn't matter if you're not shipped?
No, it doesn't matter, bro. The first pillar of Islam. The first pillar of Islam is your testimony of faith. So I was always very logical about it. I wasn't one of those guys that listened to the Quran and I started crying and I was like, this has to be from God. Or just when I was praying, that wasn't it for me. I looked at things very analytically. Praying to nothing but your Creator. I don't know what else you would pray to. You pray to something God creates? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Makes no sense.
And then you look at the evidences for why the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is a true prophet. Firstly, you would look at, is his book actually preserved? Right? Mm-hmm. Because if he was the final messenger, but then people came and tampered with it, then how do you know what's the actual truth compared to what people tampered, cut, added? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the evidences for that is that the Quran isn't even necessarily a book. It's like a recitation. There's 7-year-olds across the globe that have it memorized front to back.
That's crazy.
As Bek was saying,
we're white boys, bro.
In Ramadan, bro. In Ramadan, from the first day to the last. If you
Please
go to,
come witness it yourself.
you should come
bro.
one
So
day if
experiment,
you're
bro.
open to it. And
we're
seeing
not gonna
it.
convert you. We're not Jehovah's Witness. Like,
It's crazy, bro.
just come see it recited, bro.
The guys,
Watch it,
Bro, they won't even. They're not, bro. Every Ramadan they sing the whole book, literally the whole book, and you won't even see. Bro, if they make one syllable wrong, the whole crowd like they.
brother, you say it like this.
No, they say Subhanallah and then they correct them mid prayer, bro.
Mid prayer.
Okay, so it's just, bro.
So there's that, right?
Notice I cut down the
Then
bills by 90%
so there's
since
the,
last episode.
the two biggest pieces of evidence for the Quran being perfectly preserved is one, that it's not even a book. People have it memorized. So you could burn every single Quran and it would be back tomorrow. And secondly, we have carbon dated manuscripts back to the time of the Prophet.
Yeah, they
peace
found
be
some
upon
from
him.
the
You can look
Crusades.
that up yourself.
They found some from the
Are you
Crusades.
familiar with how carbon dating works?
Yeah, we've talked about it on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Julian
So
Dorey, bro.
it's a very legitimate scientific process to prove when something came about. So
What was the new one we were talking about last week, Deef? I forget what it's called. Fucking. Oh my God!
The fucking clay pots from Egypt?
What was that called? The dating that Will Brown was talking about. You know what I mean?
There's a new one. They created a new version. There's a new way.
because carbon dating's obviously something that's been used. It's
Yeah,
pretty good.
so they
but
found a new method.
There's a new one that's like really fucking exact. They
That's
were
awesome,
they were
dude.
doing Huayatolacco with that. But go ahead. Uranium series dating, I think
but
so.
you could look up, I believe it's called the Birmingham manuscript. So you can pull that up. I don't know if you already did it.
That was the one they found.
Carbon
isn't it?
dated Quranic manuscripts, specifically from the 7th century, provide strong evidence for the early compilation of the text, often dating close to the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Bro.
Okay, so preservation, and you can look into this more yourself. We're not telling you to believe us. Please don't believe us.
We challenge
look
you
into it yourself.
to
And
look.
if anything I'm saying you disagree with or doesn't make sense, just look into it. That's all we're asking. But I do believe everything I'm saying, for the most part, would make sense with people. I believe that this is hitting your heart.
Yeah.
Like praying to God alone. Mad simple. Mad simple.
Very
okay.
simple. I'm sorry you guys had to pray to my fucking hanging sweatshirts earlier.
No, it's all good,
That
bro.
was not an ideal spot.
No,
No,
we're
it's
just happy
fine.
we were able to pray, bro.
So, preservation, right? That's one evidence or one piece that you would look for this your second part of the testimony of faith. Is the Prophet Muhammad the final messenger or not, right? Next, you would look at what are the evidences for him being a prophet. So this is a man in the desert that couldn't read or write, and he came claiming to receive revelation from God, the Holy Quran, and in that book, bro, there are historical predictions, things that his time, 3 to 9 years ahead of time, in the decades, in the centuries, and even things that are still coming true today, right? There's scientific miracles in the Quran that a man simply could not have known. Only our Creator could have known. There's numerical miracles. You can pull these all up. Look up scientific miracles, numerical miracles, historical miracles of the Quran. And then what's the other main one? Historical, numerical, scientific. That's like the main three. And then there's also the emotional component of what it's calling you to do. What is this message calling to you? Some people like to say Allah is Satan. The Quran's from Shaitan, from the devil. Quran says before you start every single prayer, you say, I seek refuge in God from the accursed Satan. Islam teaches you that the devil's your biggest enemy. Teaches you to believe in one God, pray to nothing but God. Believe in the messengers. Jesus, believe that Mother Mary was a virgin. Believe in past revelation. Believe in Judgment Day. Believe in God's divine decree. It only calls you to good.
Bro, to me is that the fact that this kid's only been a Muslim for less than like a year and a half.
It's amazing how much.
And
So then-
his passion, bro. I'm gonna be real. I've been Muslim a lot longer. He lifts my faith up. Like this kid, like to me, like as a Muslim, like someone that's been around for a while, this is the miracle to me. That someone could read this book that wasn't rammed down his throat, and within a year and a half have this much passion and conviction, bro. Like to me, it's just insane. Like
It's amazing.
So let's just spend like 30 seconds each on each of these. Can you just click that Reddit or whatever, and I'll remember which ones are legit. The word day in singular has been mentioned 365 times in the Quran, which is the amount of days in a year. The word month in singular has been mentioned 12 times. This one's crazy. The word sea is mentioned 32 times, and the word land is mentioned 13. If you do 13, what is that?
Plus 32
Plus
equals 45% of C. 32 divided by 45 times 100 equals 71.111% of land. Equals 13 divided by 45 times 100 equals 28.88. Modern scientists currently has discovered that those numbers represent the exact proportions of surface area of sea and land.
Bro,
The word
The
life.
guy couldn't read and write, bro.
that was
He
some
couldn't
fucking-
read and write. Julian Dorey.
Yeah,
The
something.
word man is mentioned.
Illiterate.
The word man is mentioned 24 times, and the word woman is mentioned 24 times. And I believe, isn't that the amount of chromosomes that we have?
Yep.
24. So this is just a few, by the way. This is just a few
just
of them.
the mathematical
And that's
stuff.
just the numerical side. Now go to historical. And then you explain to me how he wrote this on his own. Because if he wrote this on his own, he's a genius. He's the smartest guy ever. And we don't even believe
There
the
was
prophet
no
wrote this.
microscopes. There was nothing. The human embryo, the 4 phases of the human embryo. I said this on the show before. Chewed substance like literally how the human embryo looks. There was no microscopes, Julian. They didn't have one for 1,000 years later, like a primitive microscope. Not even one that could see the human embryo. How could he have known? It's in the book. It's literally mentioned in the Quran. The 4 phases of the development of the human embryo. How? So to us, you don't think we think like people like you do. You don't think I thought like you do before. I do. Some guy walked on water. You got to be a fucking idiot to believe that. Let's be real. We're gonna be real. Let's be real. Let's leave it all on the fucking table. Some woman was a virgin and she had a baby. Some guy went with a stick like this and said, Red Sea part. Like, I don't think that sounds fucking foolish. Of course, my common sense tells me that. But when you actually look into it, Julian, if you actually look into it, how I've come to accept those stories, because that does not make sense in today's world. Some guy walked on water, bro. Brought people back from it's like algebra, bro. I know this book is perfect. I know God exists. X plus Y gives me the Z, bro. I don't accept the Z. To me, the Z is the unknown. I didn't get to see Jesus walk on water. I know this book came from God, bro. I challenge anyone to go against it. I challenge anyone to look up the miracles of this book. And they're going to see, Julian. I'm not I've never been, do I look like the kind of guy that follows people? Or I do what the fuck I want to do? Let's be real. I've been an alpha my whole life.
An alpha.
I don't listen to, I was excessive talking in class, most likely to have his own talk show. It all came true. Okay, I had a big mouth my whole life. I couldn't work in the corporate. I hated people, bro. Tell my boss, you're a fucking moron to their face. I never left a job peacefully. I scorched earth everything. I made sure I could never get back on the boat. I told my bosses to go to hell in front of the entire office, and that was a very nice way of saying it. What I'm trying to say is I'm not the kind of person that humbly follow, kumbaya, my Lord. I couldn't deny what I found. I couldn't deny what I was seeing. This is not even covering his prophecies. This is just what's in the Holy Quran. This is what's just coming, what we believe directly from God. Mathematical perfection. Even where the word Mecca is mentioned is exactly in the center of the book, which we believe, if you look at latitude and longitude, I believe there's some mathematical miracles with that also, latitude and longitude wise, of where that box is positioned. Please clarify, because
Let me finish this point.
Just add this to the list. Please clarify the whole black cube bullshit, please.
Okay.
Let's just
We'll
make sure
do this, and then we can do like a few of like the common,
Saturn worship,
the
please.
common criticisms of Islam. Okay, so we went over the numerical miracles, right? And these are just pure evidences. This is empirical evidence that we're looking at for proving that the Quran is from a divine source. This isn't emotional and being like, just believe what I believe and remove your logic. No, let's look at it together. Okay, the historical miracles. This one is personally my favorite. And the reason I looked this up is because I'm accountable for every single word that comes out of my mouth. If I say one thing wrong and someone catches me on it, not only am I responsible on Judgment Day, but that can then turn someone's heart away from listening to me. Oh, he was wrong about this. Let me just wipe away everything else he said, even though it might have been a sincere mistake. So everything I say, I'm very, very careful that it is factual at the end of the day, okay? So if you were to pull up Quran 30, 2-4, it says, the Romans have been defeated in the nearest land, but after their defeat, they will be victorious within 3 to 9 years. So a modern day comparison of this would be like, right now a man comes and he's saying, I'm from God, right? And Ukraine just got toppled by Russia. It's even called Russia, right? And this guy comes and says, in 3 to 9 years, not only will Ukraine become Ukraine again, but they're going to take over all of Russia. You'd say that's insane. That's insane. And if you were a false messenger, why would you make such bold claims? That's like if you're sports betting and you're making a parlay and the odds are 1 in the trillions, in the quadrillions, with all the different predictions that this book says, contradicting science at the time, contradicting what historians would predict is going to happen. You're contradicting the modern logic. It's not as much logic, it's more so the common consensus at whatever that time is with something scientific or historical. And you're right every time, every single time. Every single time. There's not one false prediction in the Quran or from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This is why I'm so passionate about it. So you can't disprove it. I haven't seen any real evidence disproving that this book is from God. All they can do is take stuff out of context.
So
criticize his character.
There are people far more educated than me,
of course,
on various religions. I mean, that's not saying much. Who would probably right now be able to pick apart some things and be able to say, "Oh, well, I think this in the Quran therefore is wrong because it means that." That's just human nature. But I hear it all in a totally different lens, different context, different light. Similar arguments from anyone I talk to in the major world religions, be it Christianity or Judaism, and here's why it's right, and whatever. My whole thing with it is one thing I think I mentioned this earlier, but one thing we all have in common is that none of us, while we're all living here, will know until it's over what it really is. We don't. Everything is based on faith and on the best historical records that are based on faith and maybe some quote-unquote messengers, if they were true, in various religions who came here and said this is what it is. And so when we sit here and we start saying, no, this is exactly why this religion's right and why you have to follow it and all that, which, by the way, that's not what you're saying. You're not telling people they have to follow this. I'm not putting words in your mouth. It's like, well, what the fuck do all of us in this room even know about it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean to look at it way too broadly and perhaps cynically, but, to me, like, not that my way of living life is the right way. I'm just saying this is how I do it. I'm always like, look, something created me. Something powerful created me. I don't believe this thing came from nothing. Therefore, I got to be humble in the face of whatever that is. And I'm going to have to answer for that one day. So I'm a flawed human, but while I'm here, I'm going to do my best to do as much good as possible and call myself out when I do stuff wrong, and then hope for the best when it's done,
But that's not reality. I got this.
Well, I want to finish the point. I want to finish the point. The point.
10 minutes, bro.
The point. So do you.
No, I haven't.
The point that he asked me was, why did you accept Islam, right?
Yeah.
You said, why did you accept Islam? You already agreed with the first part. The second part, is he a true prophet or not?
Muhammad. Yeah.
This is why I accepted Islam. This is why. I looked at these evidences. I said, this book, in my head, it's more than likely that this is a messenger on behalf of our creator. And then after accepting Islam, just saying that one sentence, slowly I start praying. Once a week, twice a week, once a day. Let me make my prayers up at night. And then slowly it just keeps incrementing.
Did it change how you felt?
100%, bro. You go to levels spiritually that you didn't even understand were possible.
Like, can you describe that?
Like
seeing dreams that come true.
Like, I don't stress anymore, bro. With dreams, that's one of the things, you can get insight onto what potentially is going to be happening in your life, or reflection on something that happened in your life. I'm not stressed anymore.
Too many coincidences.
There's something, one of the 6 articles of faith is believing in God's divine decree. So if something doesn't go your way, the Prophet Muhammad said, don't say, if something doesn't go your way, don't say, if only I had done something else. Rather say, God has decreed what he wills. Verily, the phrase, if only, opens the way for the work of Satan. If only, because that's you thinking that you have more control and power than you do. If you were supposed to go on a boat and meet some people, this is what happened to me 2 days ago, and you missed it. Wasn't meant to be on that boat.
The boat might have crashed.
Or maybe I would have met a girl and fallen into a sin or something, and God's protecting me. Whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
So just accept kind of like...
Yeah, but do you worry sometimes you might write off mistakes you make and say, well, that was just fate?
You can analyze the moves that you made and see if you could have done something else. But at the end of the day, if you weren't meant to be there, you weren't meant to be there. So like with, this literally just happened to me 2 days ago, 3 days ago, actually. All right. At night, this is one of the stories you were asking about. I had a call the next day with one of my coaches that was really important. I didn't want to miss it. So I prayed and I was like, yo, God, before that, my cousin,
Yo, homie G, what's up?
My cousin
Literally
booked an excursion to go on a boat for that whole day, so I probably would have missed the call. It was like a really tight thing. So the night before I said, yo, God, just whatever you got to do, just get me to that call, please. Whether I go on the boat and we're back in time or I miss the boat, whatever it is. Okay, that morning we go, the bus already left. We missed the boat. We couldn't get there. And we were even trying to get cabs. We couldn't get cabs. It just was not meant to be to go and make it. And then the people that we knew that did make it on the boat, they didn't get back till 7:30 p.m. I would have missed the call. That's just one little example of what I'm talking about, is when you pray for even small things, like, let me just make it to this, and then it works out perfectly every single time.
I see.
So the whole point that I'm making, and then I'll let Bek go, is that I didn't accept Islam to just become Muslim and enforce rules on people or anything. It was purely logical. I said my testimony testimony of faith. Over time, I slowly started taking it more seriously as I kept looking into the evidences of it, watching debates, this and that, losing my love of sins. And then that's what's gotten me to where I am today. It's very incremental.
Yeah, it's very clear that it's ingrained in your soul. And I knew that before we had this conversation. You and I have talked about this before. There's a real genuine belief there. This is something like you've really, really committed to change your lifestyle over the last 2 years. Not even,
bro. He's not even going
quickly.
after girls, bro. At his age,
You know?
bro. At his age,
And it has you focused in on a lot of things in life, really grinding as well towards a passion. And there's something to be said for that. I think that I've always said this. I think people, regardless of whatever organized religion it is, people who use that for good in their life to dictate their own life and do positive things, however that may, force itself out, I think is a beautiful thing about that. And I never want to get that lost, because I know sometimes, like, because my own beliefs and stuff, I'm like hard on organized religion as a thing. But to be clear, I think the majority of people around the world use organized religion for a good thing. And we just, perhaps myself included, sometimes too much, use the bad examples of people who are using it for wrong and kind of just focus in on that. And I don't want to get lost in what's good there.
Julian.
But Bek, go ahead.
Earlier, before this last thing, when you were saying what you said, and then he went on again. I'm trying to remember what you said, but you were basically talking about, organized religion and all this stuff, and we don't really know until we know. Mm-hmm. But that's exactly the answer. You're answering it without even realizing that that's exactly what the answer is. Is anyone in this room escaping death?
No.
So that's a guaranteed event that's coming for all of us. Could be tomorrow, could be next year, could be 100 years from now, if you're lucky. All right? So we're all going to die. Every single civilization from the inception of time to now, even the ancient Greeks, or I would say the ancient Illyrians, believed in the underworld and Hades. Like everyone, the pharaoh, right, burying them with their treasure, they can go into the next life. Everyone had basically a story of you're going to die, and if you don't do what's right, there's a bad place that you go. Throughout history, right? Every civilization has some story of that. My argument would be this. The problem with today's world is most people don't follow religion. I would say throughout the world, they didn't follow faith because it's something they believe. I'm Catholic because my dad's Catholic. I'm Muslim because my mom's Muslim, right? It's more of a tradition than something that you actually believe.
More of a tradition than something you believe.
So people will just celebrate the holidays, but they're not really Christian. They're not going to church. They're not really doing all the rituals. They're not praying every day. They're not being Christian.
Right.
Or it's just like a Muslim who drinks and parties and doesn't do the 5 prayers. He's not really a Muslim at that point. You have to live by the rules of those faiths to be a member of those faiths, right? So most people follow a faith because it's what their forefathers were, not because they chose it or because they believe.
Yeah.
Why you see the passion in someone like Sonny is because he comes from a family that's not Muslim. No one taught him Islam. He chose the faith himself. He studied and he wanted to adhere his life by those guidelines, okay? So what I would say to you or anyone else, and I say this to you as a friend and a brother, but on the record, I guess, since we're filming this, but I would have said the same exact words to you off camera. There's people right now watching this video that are probably contributing to a 401k that probably the way this country is going is probably not even going to be there soon, okay? There's people that have contributed to Social Security that are probably never going to get a check from Social Security the way our country is going, right? Yeah. But they will take money out of their lives that they can spend right now and put it away in an account that they can't touch till they hit their late 60s or early 70s, whatever it is now. If it was up to Ben Shapiro, we work forever. We work till we die based on Ben Shapiro's.
How about Dr. Oz? Just add a few years to the end and a few years at the beginning.
Yeah, good luck with that. But basically, what are you doing? You're taking money you could spend today, and you're saving it for a day that may never come. You're not guaranteed to live to retirement. Are you guaranteed? Right. But you'll prepare for that, Julian. But you haven't even. But let me ask you a question. Think about this, lads. You're a very smart dude, bro. You haven't read what 1/5 of the world believes. Their faith, based on one book. That now you have 2 good friends of yours telling you, just look at it, bro. Just look at it. I don't need to come and preach to you and dance.
Oh, I think it's so fascinating. These are historical books, too.
What I'm saying is we're going to die. If there's any chance that any of these religions could be right, you don't leave anything to this material world to chance. You have gotten better every single day as a podcaster, as an editor. I've gotten better somewhat. My ADHD is still there, but I've become one of the most desired guests in the world. I've fucking billions of views, and thanks to
World
you,
famous. World famous.
you and Danny Jones,
Dude.
Viral. Well, viral, Julian.
unleashed fucking.
100 million people saw it back
You
there.
and Danny
It's
Jones
100,000.
unleashed chaos onto the world. But
That's
listen
the
to me.
Albanian.
So what I'm saying, brother, is like, think about it. Like, we prepare for everything in life, yet we don't prepare for death. Like, I'm not talking about getting a life insurance policy because your wife's going to cash it out and bang some other dude with the money. My point is this. You're guaranteed to die.
Yes. They're not going to bury you with it, bro.
Please, what I'm saying is don't leave that to chance, Danny.
Yeah.
Danny, I'm going. Julian.
Yeah, you've done that a couple
Sorry,
times.
I did.
I have a question for you. Do you have a question right now?
Maybe you
or-
should pick up the
go
phone,
ahead.
Danny
I have
Jones.
one for you.
This is your show, bro.
If you had to guess why there's so many religions in the world, what would be your guess?
Great topic, by the way.
This is a really broad answer. You're not going to like it, but everyone's looking for an answer, and their environment dictates what they find.
So humans, you're saying that humans just in different places, they came up with these books and this is what they followed and this and that, right?
I don't want to oversimplify that part of it. There's some very, very strong traditions in pretty much all these religions that, start at the basis of who wrote it and stuff like that. But as far as the people that then adopted it over time, 10 years, 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years, 2,000 years, I think it's based on the environmental factors, who they're surrounded with. Beck, you just made a great point about people growing up in religion versus actually choosing it, and then deciding to explain the unexplainable for their life to give them a greater purpose to live by following it while they're here on earth.
It's not a bad answer. That's a good answer. I'm going to explain the Islamic perspective on this. Now, remember before, we looked up what the word Islam directly translates to in English. Submission to the will of God.
Right.
Right? So, I believe, as a Muslim, that throughout time, God sent messengers preaching submission to Islam, submission to God, Islam. Okay? Moses, for example, we believe that he was a Muslim, a messenger on behalf of this creator. He was given the message of submission to God, right? That's what he preached. Then after he died, what happened? People took his book, they added, they took stuff away from it. So submission to God then broke off into Judaism, right? Okay. Then what does Jesus come and preach? He tries to get everyone back on the right path. He preaches submission to God. In the Bible, he says, "Hear, Israel, your Lord is one. Worship nothing but God." He's very clear about that if you actually just read his words, not what people attribute to him. And then what happens after Jesus? He ascends to the heavens, as we believe too, and people start worshiping him instead of worshiping God himself, instead of following submission to God, right? So submission to God with Jesus then broke off into Catholicism, which then broke off into Christianity and Protestantism, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So then the Prophet Muhammad comes, peace be upon him, and he preaches the same exact message as all the other prophets. So ironically, this is an ultra rage bait sentence right here, but Catholicism, Judaism are actually deviations of Islam. Submission to God. This is what all the messengers preached. So when they broke off into their own other religion,
I see what you're saying.
that's the Islamic position.
Yeah, I don't know if I would.
It didn't start with Muhammad.
That might be
It ended
taking
with
it a
him.
little bit literally, but I see what you're saying. In the figurative sense, you can make the argument.
Yeah, we
there
believe
for
it
sure.
didn't start with Muhammad. It ended with him.
Ended with
He
it.
was the exclamation point. The final time. Basically, you guys keep messing up. You keep doing this over and over again. Now I'm going to send you a book you can't corrupt.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure anyone can memorize it that wants to.
Okay.
There is no more prophets coming. There is no more warnings coming. This is your last shot, humanity. That's why we call it the last testament.
Okay.
The final testament sent to humanity. And it is glorious and it is miraculous. And I would love if you came. Just come witness.
I
don't
would
even care.
absolutely
You don't
do
got
that. I
to
think
pray.
that'd be
We're
so
not
cool.
going to fucking kidnap you and strap dynamite to your body and fucking drive you down, to a building. You're gonna see something that you've never seen, bro. Okay?
I love looking at all different types of cultures and experiencing those things. You don't got to convince me. I'll 100% do that. As long
Again,
as
you
I'm
keep
not
growing this hair
recording.
longer, you get a part in the next Jesus movie, bro. You do
Yeah.
a better job than Nicolas Cage, bro.
Yeah, I'll talk to
You
Mel
do a better
Gibson.
job than Nicolas Cage.
Well, I want to put a pin in the black cube thing. We're going to come back to that because I know you want to talk about that and dispel that. But Sonny, I want to stay on this point with you because you've been talking all day, throughout some of the explanations, straddling where Christians view Jesus versus where Muslims view Jesus and all that. First question is, when you were growing up and you grew up in an Italian Catholic family, were you religious at all?
No. I wasn't.
Okay.
It was the cultural side of things, like he said. We all
Right.
practice our religion because our forefathers told us to practice
But
this.
you did the kneel stand thing in church, yeah. Okay,
Baptized,
whatever.
confirmed,
Right.
communion. Yeah, I did all that stuff.
But you didn't have like any type of relationship with it. Did you ever think about like who Jesus was to you at all, or did that not occur to you till later?
No, to be honest, bro, like it was some 85-year-old guy that taught us. It was really hard to relate to him
Right.
when we were going to CCD. I didn't even know what, like, when I started looking into Islam, I didn't know what like prophets were and the apostles. Like whenever I heard these words, I just my brain was off.
Right.
I didn't remember any of that stuff. We didn't go to church every Sunday, and I don't like to pretend like I was like this devout Catholic or this and that. You know, I simply, you know, I would lose something, pray to St. Anthony. It was like that, like the typical Italian American. You know what I mean?
Okay. So how did, without you being devout before, when you actually got really into Islam and converted to become a Muslim, you knew the story of Jesus because you had grown up in it, even if you weren't like spiritually close to it. How did it change how you looked at him?
Well, we believe that we're actually following Jesus, peace be upon him, because we believe that he lived preaching Islam. So, you know, in church, you would hear things like Jesus, you know, he died for your sins. And you know, things like that. It just never really made sense to me, to be quite honest with you. And I had it explained.
Never made sense to you.
Never really made sense to me. Julian, do you believe that you're more merciful than God?
No.
Right? Okay. So let's say I do you
Imagine
dirty.
if I said yes to that.
Let's say I do you dirty. I'm going crazy on this podcast, right? I snap this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Julian, can you forgive me? Please forgive me. How do you forgive me? What do you do?
Well, I take the Louisville out first, and then, you know, we're good.
But let's say you were feeling nice
He
and
didn't
you
like that joke. I didn't even get a laugh. I got a
Sorry.
laugh back here. That was
he
good.
took the Louisville, huh? I get him with a bet, huh?
He's still breathing.
He's still breathing. I'm like, sorry.
I would love to do that shit.
But for the sake of this,
If we didn't go to
let's
hell.
say you want to forgive me and you're feeling nice.
Yeah.
The one day of the year you wouldn't beat me with a bat.
Right.
You're feeling merciful is the word.
How do you forgive me?
Like, how would you tell him that
I-
it's okay, it's squashed, or the beef's over?
Like I snapped it. Oh my gosh.
says he's sorry.
I'd be like, don't worry about it. What were you saying?
Why don't you kill your son?
Wait, I don't.
That's the exact comparison.
What?
To forgive me, why don't you kill your son?
Kill my.
Kill your dog.
Oh,
Kill something
oh,
innocent.
Okay, now I'm sorry. I forgot what we were talking about. Yeah. Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's the exact comparison. So even Jesus says in the Our Father prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And God, forgive us of our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So the same way
Amen.
you would forgive me, you let it go, God, forgive us the same way you would. Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. Now, I say this as someone, again, who's not a member of organized religion, whatever. But, you know, just on the basics that I know, I agree with you that always, like, he died for our sins is something that's almost a little too complex for, like, the human brain
There you go.
to process. But the idea that a creator loved the world so much that he sent, like, his son.
But they say it's him too, though.
It's not just the
very
son, it's him.
confusing.
Right.
Whenever you
Through
catch
his-
him one
all
way,
let me just
Go
cook
Sorry.
with this and keep it simple. I understand there's
Yeah.
a more exact way, but sends his son, existing through him, to earth to preach all these good things to people, and then be made an example out of.
They hung him up like a piñata.
Yeah, I think that kind of why it's like the greatest story ever told that people say, regardless of whether or not they think it's true or not. I think that it makes sense that a creator could be care that much about earth that he would allow his own son to be sacrificed for the other people there who have done wrong, so that the people who come after can have an example to try to live their life and understand that someone gave it all so that they could have something. That part does make sense to me. It's just the actual concept of like dying for all of our sins.
Yeah,
It's
but-
such a broad way of putting it that it is hard to conceive. I agree.
But I just gave you the exact comparison. If you wanted to forgive me for something, you don't kill your son.
But I'm a mortal human.
Okay, so let's think about it like this. The creator of time, the creator of the universe, the creator of the molecule, we don't believe God has a beginning and an end. He's outside of everything. He's eternal, right? I'm assuming you would agree with all of this. Meaning, so he's outside of time. He knows what we're going to do. We're simply living out our test because we don't know the future, but God knows what we're going to do. He knows what the next words that are going to come out of my mouth. He knows if I'm going to go home and play with my pea shut out later. He knows all these things, right? Because he's outside of time. Time is a creation of God. It's a creature of God. You get that?
Yes.
Okay. So God created humans
Time's a country.
knowing we're going to sin. Knowing we're going to sin. It's not like God can't see the future. He knows we're going to sin. So rather than making us with the inclination to sin because the devil whispers in our ear, just making it so that we can repent and be forgiven, he needs a human sacrifice, bro. A human sacrifice. That's him. It's a human God sacrifice. And then when I make the exact analogy to you, it doesn't add up. And if you look at Jesus' own words, he's calling God forgive us the same way we forgive others. A lot of this idea of the sacrifice and whatnot, this comes from Paul. Are you familiar with who Paul is?
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about him on the show.
He never met
corrupted.
Jesus in the flesh. I don't think a lot of people know this. They think that
Corrupted.
everyone that wrote the Bible was walking around Jesus. Yes, what'd you say? Let me say that again one more time. No. Paul, the exact equivalent, and I don't want to harp on Christianity too much or anything. Like, the only reason I learned all about this is because I've watched so many debates, since doing my religious research, that I've seen both sides. But he never met Jesus in the flesh, bro.
Not only that, he was killing the first Christians. He was wiping them out. That would be like to me, that's crazy, bro. This is a guy that's massacring the first Christians, never met Christ, sees an apparition. If Jesus spoke directly to him, then, as you've said many times, then Paul should have been considered a prophet, not an apostle. Because if Jesus is God, but that's the thing, Julian. Jesus is God. He's the Son of God. What they can't even tell you what he is, bro. Some of them say he's the Son of God. Some of you say he is God. So God sent himself down, born through a woman, doesn't do nothing for 30 years. 30 years, he does nothing in Christianity. He might have came and built this table. That's all he did for 30 years.
No, that was me and Danny Jones.
No, I know that. I remember. That's right. Shout out Danny Jones. Pick up the phone, huh? So, leave that on.
He's not gonna.
So, he's probably not. But, so, he comes down and builds a table, chair. 30 years, does nothing. Does nothing. His whole prophecy is like 2 years in Christianity. If God came down, why did he live his life like an Israelite? Why did he keep kosher? If he came himself, so instead of sending messengers and prophets,
Like he always did.
okay, why didn't he, he came down himself. He could have left the book finished. He didn't have to depend on any of them. He didn't have to depend on Paul. He left it more ambiguous than any of the other faiths. Book of Moses, Moses wrote. Psalms of David, right? Muhammad during his lifetime. So when God himself comes down, the book doesn't start getting compiled till 40 to 300 years after. They couldn't even agree. There was a civil war. They almost wiped each other out because some of them were like, he's God. No, he's not. He's the Son of God. At the Council of Nicaea, there was violence before the Council of Nicaea. If God came himself down, it should have been clearer than ever. Yet it's the most ambiguous concept in all three of the Abrahamic faiths.
And there's nothing ambiguous in Islam, though?
No, God is one. No mother and no son. You can't see him.
Man didn't write the book?
Which one?
Man,
the Quran?
Yeah.
No. Remember?
So, committed to memory during the, right? Committed to memory during
Yeah,
the
but like it
thousands
starts,
of them.
I know, but
that
it
you're going to come
starts
and
with
witness
man.
yourself to know that that phenomenon exists even today.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Because I think I say the same thing about all the religions. It starts with man, whether or not they had some sort of divine
transmission.
intervention.
Okay.
Sure, right?
Okay.
And that's an argument that all the religions make in various contexts. But like, it is written down by man in a book. So there is, and I
Eventually,
say
yes.
this about all religions, there has to be some inherent
That
flaw
transcribes
there.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now,
There's nothing wrong with that. That's
where
just
it's
human
different
nature.
in our case is that they had thousands of his followers committed to memory before he died. They would recite the whole book during
You're talking
his
about
life.
Muhammad?
Correct. And as soon as he died, they all had it, so then they compiled it. They're like, for future generations, we need to write it down. But it was already committed to heart and memory.
But you couldn't make that argument if I wanted to, because this is one thing I've criticized when we talked about Christianity. Like,
Can you think of one other book on earth? I'm
yeah,
talking
but
a
you
book
can't
of
say
that
the
size.
apostles committed stuff to memory, and then
No. because there's no guarantee that they even were the apostles. If they're being honest in Christian history, pull it up.
But
There's no concrete proof
about Quran. Couldn't I say the same thing? There's no guarantee that these people were around Muhammad.
But here's the difference: the consistency is there.
What do you mean the consistency?
Come and watch it, man. Come, Ramadan starts next week. Come one day.
Yeah,
Just come.
you guys have it memorized very well. But I
Thousands
can
of
go to
them.
a
Okay,
I can go
find
to a
another book.
Christian. Hold on, Bek. I can go to a Christian church and find the same thing in certain
Find what?
places, and then not find it in other
Find
places.
what?
Find consistency in memory.
Can you find people that know the whole book of John?
Yeah, but
There's
like
not one on earth.
Yeah, but like if I go recite,
Find me one, bro.
right? But if I can go recite something like I'm seeing the fucking fractals out there perfectly, it doesn't make it more true just seeing it. You know what I mean?
But
and I'm not
talking
criticizing
about,
that. I think that's
but
awesome.
I'm
that
saying
they can recite
transmitting,
it like that.
right, and then preserving. Two different paths as far as Christianity and Islam. Completely different paths.
What, are we playing a game now?
I have no idea what he's doing.
Julian, read this.
If he's talking shit,
Read it.
Julian,
Read
let
it
me
out
know.
loud. My handwriting's
I've been-
garbage. So
I've
If
been
he's talking
pa-
shit, I know
I've-
you before him, Julian.
I've been passed a note. Let me read it first,
Read it out loud.
and then I'll read it
What
out
does it
loud.
say by the bell, bro? What are you, Zach
it's upside down,
Morris?
I think. Or no, it's good.
It says Epstein did not kill himself.
Read it.
Okay.
That
It
was-
says, "Oh Julian!" Exclamation point. Tell the disbelievers, beware of your Lord. Is this like a riddle?
Who wrote that?
You did.
But you're the one spreading it. In the Quran, it repeatedly says, "O prophet." It repeatedly says, "We created," meaning the royal we, not as in a plural. It's the direct words of our creator. I know this is a hard concept to wrap your head around. It's not the words of the Prophet Muhammad. The book is talking to the Prophet. Do you see what I'm saying?
Talking through him.
To him, bro.
To-
So it would be the angel Gabriel, which is the messenger angel.
backed up all the
The
prophets.
same one that came to Mary and
All
told
of
her
it.
she's going to have, give
remember
birth to
that
the
guy.
Messiah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. It's that same angel, the same
Peace be
exact
upon
one.
him.
So God would give the message through the angel Gabriel. And then the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he described it as like the first verse of the Quran was stitched on his heart. That's how he explains it. So he would repeat it out loud. The angel would affirm it. And then he would go back into the town, say it, and the scholars would write it down. And over 23 years, that's what happened. He would receive revelation from God. He would then go back, say it, and all of that, all of
every
those different
Ramadan.
pieces of revelation were how the Quran was compiled.
And every Ramadan, they would recite it in congregation.
Does that make sense, though? So
Sure.
when if you read the Quran, do not read it from the lens that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, wrote it. Read it from the lens that the one that's keeping your heart beating wrote it. Just do that.
That's heavy. Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah.
And it'll hit on a whole different level. Whole different level.
Do you see genuine passion when he speaks, or do you see someone that's
yeah.
paid to spread this?
No.
This kid's
no,
lost
it's
a
very
lot
real.
after you joined this
very
faith.
real.
Let alone
lost
giving
a
up,
lot?
giving
What
up
do you mean by
women,
that?
not putting his piece of down, nothing.
Well, that's
You know how hard that is to do at 21 years old? Like when I tell you the kid's the real deal, like 22, 20 years old, not putting your patience in things. Come on, bro. Like that's a hard thing not to do, bro. And I know I'm joking around, but I'm actually like dead serious. So
No, I know.
You know, he had a lot of animosity. He had a lot of. He's called a race traitor by Nick Fuentes. You know?
Called a race trader by
Race
Nick
trader.
Fuentes.
Meanwhile, please, I love
a
when
compliment.
I love when you
Yeah.
explain why the whole race thing is. You know, you do it really well, kid. Let me ask you a question. In past episodes, we used to take like a little piss break. Do we do that? at all?
You gotta take a piss? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't
we'll
know.
be-
We having
yeah,
a competition who's bladder because I can
No.
go forever,
No,
bro.
we'll be right back. Hold on.
You guys
We'll
want
be
to
right
go?
back.
You want to
Yeah,
go?
yeah.
Whose bladder is bigger?
We're good. All right, we're back. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, because it actually ties into the idea of the documentary you just did, is the cultural phenomenon with Islam in America. So I'm a firm believer in the Constitution in the sense that it calls for a separation of church and state. I think sometimes in this country, Christians will overlook that with respect to some of the laws that they try to put in, and I disagree with that. I think you have to have that separation there. I think that's a critical part of America. It's not to be like anti-religion or anything like that. I think the two just need to exist separately. That said, you guys had a chance to, as you alluded to, go and visit some of these different Muslim communities around the country and some of the places where there's people complaining about some of the cultural phenomenons there, to see it for yourself. Before we get to your actual experiences on the ground, do you would you agree that, like any religion, like Christianity or Judaism, or insert religion here that has an extreme wing, would you agree that when people are concerned with some of the more extreme Muslim adherences, that it is a fair criticism of Americans to say that's not compatible with Western values? And let me be clear on that. Like, for example, when, you have communities that are saying you have to wear a hijab everywhere and women have to be completely covered, and we're going to follow those laws above the actual laws of where we're living here. Would you agree that that's a fair criticism?
Go ahead, kid.
You don't want to take this one?
I can take it.
I would say
I don't want to hear you. Don't let me talk. Go.
I would say Islam isn't compatible with Western civilization as a Muslim. Because if this Epstein stuff happened in another nation where people in power were caught doing despicable acts to children, destroying innocence is one of the biggest sins in Islam, they should have their heads chopped off publicly for everyone to know. Mm-hmm. So, no, I don't necessarily think it's compatible. Regarding the actual documentary, well, Western values, like, what does it even mean nowadays, bro? What are Western values?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking us a question. What do you define Western civilization?
I'm talking more about the
separation of church and state.
The main street. I'm not talking about the elites and whatever sick shit they do. I'm talking about the actual main street, average American who goes about their day. We do have some great freedoms here. Obviously, sometimes we have to fight for some things they try to take from us, and that's righteously so. We should fight for that. But like, there are amazing things that have happened in this experiment called America. So with those values, ignoring obviously the scumbags that exist in certain tops of the bureaucracy and stuff like that, do you think that culturally there are aspects of Islam that are not compatible if people come here and don't assimilate in some way to the American culture?
So people love to talk about Sharia law, right? Like it's like some guidebook on how to rule over people and control every little thing they do. 90% of Sharia law is self-imposing things that you're supposed to do. With praying 5 times a day, with smiling consistently, with giving to charity, with going on pilgrimage. That's Sharia law.
Controlling
over
your
90%
desires, not having sex out of wedlock, taking care of your children if you have them. It's basically basic morality. What I think he needs to hear to answer his question,
I was going to get to it,
is that as Muslims, first and foremost, we were commanded by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Wherever we live, we must abide by the rules and regulations of that country.
Yup.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, if you cannot abide by their rules and regulations, meaning it affects your faith so dramatically that you cannot practice your faith, then you're commanded to make what they call Hajj, which means to actually migrate for the sake of your faith. Those conditions don't exist in America, and I do believe Islam is compatible in Western civilization with the laws that are in place. I am a absolute free speech absolutist. Jake Lang, who I believe is an agitator to stir the pot between Christians and Muslims.
Who's Jake Lang?
He's the guy that we kind of, like, he's the one that's been leading the protest in Dearborn, in Plano, Texas, and most recently almost had his legs split like a chicken wing in Minnesota. Claims to be a white supremacist with a Jewish family on his mother's side, throwing swastikas up. That's most recent videos right now coming out of Minnesota. I think that was from his last march this week. Throwing literally out of the back of a van. Someone that has Jewish family, okay, and claims to be a white supremacist. So for me, it is compatible with American society, because in the America that I have always believed that we lived in, you have freedom of speech, you have the right to practice your faith as long as you're not imposing on other people.
Can you take the phone off the cord there? Sorry.
Sure. Good. As long as you're not practicing, as long as you're not imposing.
That cord too. On no cords. Thank you.
Okay, so as long as you're not imposing, forcing people. They try to make it seem like we're here on some secret mission to convert people to Islam and force them to Islam. And I believe it's just noise to distract from what's really going on in the world right now. That's number one. Another threat that's not even, let's say even if what they're saying is true, is that more precedent right now than the corruption we have in our government? Are the Muslims going to be able to take over this week? No, you should be paying attention to Epstein, the network that's involved there, and everything that's been going on.
I agree.
Lastly, is it compatible with the West? Yes. Yes, it is. As long as we have the right to practice our faith and go to mosque on Fridays, and absolutely Islam can exist here and not be a threat. But as far as morals are concerned, where are morals in our country? we're very famous for saying we wish America was a Christian nation. It's not. I wish they were following the morality of Christianity, women being modest, not having premarital sex, not having children out of wedlock, which we can also back up statistically is the cause of 90% of violent crime.
I do want to say, just for the record, the opposite of Sharia law, especially as it pertains to women, is certainly not the answer. I don't think that's a good trend
baby
in
daddies?
society.
How many baby daddies, brother? They want to talk about how Muslims can have more than one wife.
OnlyFans, all this shit.
Yet the majority of Muslims don't have more than one wife. I personally, someone that's been married, would not take 2 wives, 3 or 4, even if they were the most gorgeous women on earth, and I had millions of dollars. Oh, you bought her Chanel bag? No, you're gonna buy me. I would have jumped off the first building if suicide wasn't forbidden in Islam. So for me, what they try to take from this faith that's actually an obligation to the man, meaning if you can't control yourself and you want more than one wife, you better take care of her. You better take care of those children. You have a responsibility and a duty to the Creator. The society we live in, there is no responsibility. Kids are all over the place. 3 different moms and dads and all mixed. And it's just, we are a nation full of bastards at this point. We are the bastard nation.
Bastard nation.
The generation of bastards. Children born out of wedlock, no responsibility. These hoodlums are in the streets burning everything to the fucking ground. They have no guidance because it is an oppression for a child not to know their dad and their mom. It's an oppression. It's a form of oppression. Children have rights. You could fuck around. You can have sex and do all that stuff. Take care of the life you brought into this earth. So for me, what are we compatible with? I think a lot of people listening to what I just said would say, yeah, a man and a woman should take care of the child. So are we not compatible? Or have people forgotten basic morality? I think people see what Muslims are and what they really stand for. And I think deep down inside, it pisses them off. They wish they could be like that. They wish they could have the discipline. They wish they could have the respect. There is no respect in this country anymore for anything.
I think it depends on the context. I could see that angle for sure with certain things. I think there's also the context we talked about earlier to where there's some preconceived notions of all Muslims that has been programmed into people over many years, some of which is certainly not the case. And then I think there's also the general aspect that think about Ellis Island and all the people that came through it.
My own family, yeah.
Right. Mine as well. It's like there was a lot of assimilation that had to happen and a lot that took a while as well. But it kind of did, right? And so I think a trend, and this is something Tyler Oliveira, I think, is on the money on pointing out. He's like, what does it mean to be an American anymore if you don't want to be an American, if you want to be loyal to something else? And I think this includes everything. It's not referring to just Muslims following Islam or anything like that. So let's zoom out from Muslims for a second and just look at everything. What does it mean when a community comes here and no one tries to learn the English language, regardless of where they're from, right? I don't know that's a great idea. And by the way, I don't want them to lose their language too. I think it's awesome to have both. My best friend from my whole life is a dual citizen of Greece, right? They speak Greek and English in the household. I think that's awesome, right? But they do both, And so there's something different in the current quote unquote immigrant trend at the moment to where we're letting total, I guess, conclaves exist all over the country instead of opening the arms and everyone kind of not kumbaya, but coming together as Americans and being tied to that. And I want to make sure I'm saying that right and not misheard. But to me, being a nation of immigrants means we get to have so many different perspectives here. And I love that. And I want to keep that. But how do we do that while also formulating our own identity as a country?
100%. There's a couple points that we could go off on this. The first one I want to mention goes back to what we were saying before about, Islam or democracy. The whole idea of democracy in itself is an illusion.
It's an illusion.
It's an illusion. It's a complete illusion. Even the idea of free speech is an illusion. We don't have true free speech in this country. For the last Democratic primary, Kamala Harris wasn't even voted in. It wasn't even voted. They just put her there. And nobody did a thing about that. That's the presidential election that we're talking about it. Corn, earlier on today, we're in the car and we heard the radio. What were they saying? Instagram, Meta, and Snapchat, they're going to have to be required by law to, double check with the government on if they're protecting children's safety. You can look up xxx.com and find boobs and vagine in 5 seconds. And we're worried about Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. That's my whole point is that it's an illusion in itself, bro. They're always sending little distractions and giving you little crumbs and not going after the main problem. right? And then regarding the immigration thing that you said last, bro, what are you? What ethnicity? Italian?
Italian, Irish.
Italian and Irish. How are people treated when they came here?
Oh, not well.
Like dogs.
Yeah.
Like dogs. My Italian great-grandmother married an Irish guy. Her family ostracized her. So even this whole idea of white people need to come together and we're all white and
Yeah,
this
what
and
does
that.
that even mean, white?
First of all, yeah, what does it mean? Because
What does that
Italians
mean?
aren't considered white for a long period of time. Albanians still aren't considered
Greeks.
white.
Yeah.
Greeks aren't
And
considered
they
white.
came here
But
because they
they
couldn't
are.
get
When
along
they-
in Europe.
when they
That's
fill
why
out-
they came here.
When they fill out a college application, now they're white. That's what I'm so. It's just very confusing to me.
So
you know,
I've talked with my family, and the primary reason that we don't speak Italian anymore today is because they were embarrassed to go out and speak Italian. They didn't want to be associated
It's
as
not
Italian.
that they were embarrassed. They were being persecuted.
That-
Call it what it was. The first Irish brought to America didn't come here because they were brought as slaves.
Indentured servants, yeah.
Okay, they were fucking slaves. So this notion of white supremacy and white culture is actually a fucking myth, bro. We didn't get along in Europe. My family was massacred by other white people, not even 25 years ago in Kosovo.
yeah, that's such a.
Okay, so that to me shows ignorance. And then if you want to talk about being a Christian nation, then how you treating your other Christian brothers and sisters. The Pilgrims were other Protestants that had to leave. They were other Protestants, the Quakers, that left because the other Protestants were persecuting them. So it's an illusion. It's all bullshit. The only thing that unifies humanity is the Creator. We all came from Adam. He was made up of every single color of the earth. That's what everybody that believes in, right? God has to believe, the one God. So it's never been that. It never will be that. And there shouldn't be supremacy or beating your drum. That's why I love one of the verses in the Quran where God says, I could have made you all one nation, but I didn't, to see how stupid you are. Literally, like he designed all these different constraints to test us. Time, the laws of the universe, the laws of earth.
Yep.
He made us into different groups to see how are we going to act. He didn't give all of us like equal equity as far as money or gifts. It's so that there is that mixed bag, and how are we going to respond? Are we going to elevate or de-elevate? You know, as far as morality and spirituality is concerned.
What does our mutual friend Eric Zulliger always say?
Shout out to Eric, by the way.
Shout out
I
to
ran
Eric.
into him completely randomly in LA, bro.
Fucking.
I'm literally standing on the
hilarious
corner. He's like,
motherfucker.
"Hey!" I'm like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "It's me,
Is that,
Julian."
is that Beck Lover?
No,
oh
he
my
was
god!
He was driving through Glendale. He's like, beep beep. I see this. I'm like, but I'm thinking he's in Albania, right? Because that's where he lives. He chose Albania. Shout out to the
He
Albanians.
chose Albania.
And he's like, "It's me, Julian." I said, "Oh shit, bro!" He just drove off.
Oh.
He's always on a mission, bro. Shout out to Eric.
Zulliger always says, "Countries are just stories."
Great dude, bro.
You know, and that the way they were drawn apart from each other are just a story that was accepted by a group of people a long time ago, and then suddenly that became. See, I don't even want to say law, but it did. It technically became law, but it became, oh, that's just how things are. But like, imagine all humans were just removed from a map for a second, and you were dropped here on Earth, and you just walked around. You wouldn't take a step and be like, wow, I just walked from Syria to fucking Iraq. You wouldn't do that. You'd be like, I just took a step from one piece of land to another piece of land.
You wouldn't even know what land you're in. If
You
you
wouldn't
Wouldn't even know
grasp
what
the
land
sand.
you're in.
Even right now,
You know?
if you didn't have technology, you wouldn't. If you got dropped, it would take you a while to even figure out
That's
where
right.
was. Am I in Europe right now? America? Like you wouldn't even know.
That's right. And so I try to remind myself that, because it's like we've allowed these stories to create the battle lines that we have to find disagreements on, to find
Tribalism.
differences with each other. Boom, for tribalism. It's exactly right.
Which
Anyway.
is forbidden in Islam. Tribalism is strictly forbidden in the faith of Islam.
A lot of people kind of break that, though.
They do. Ethnocentrism. Sometimes we see it even with our own faith, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Remember, we believe our faith is perfect, but the followers are not. Right? All the masters that came brought the word of God. They brought morality. We go off the beaten path. We do shit and things that we shouldn't be doing,
Right.
which creates chaos.
And yeah, I mean, to your point, like, you know, we went and covered Dearborn specifically because that was getting a lot of coverage. I don't know how they could assimilate to American culture anymore, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. On the main road, 2 strip clubs, bars, McDonald's, oil change. You go into the hookah place to get dinner at night.
Mixed.
All the TVs, all 45 TVs are playing football.
NFL.
One of these guys, bro, in the Arab guy that we were with, he looks like an Italian dude.
He was
wouldn't
talking
even be able
straight
to
up
tell
like
the
he's out of the
difference.
Sopranos. Bro.
He goes,
Literally.
you know why we're watching the Bengals? Because the
the
Lions
Lions.
already played. Like, they're just Americans, dude. They're just simple.
We literally had
Americans.
no script, Julian. We just showed up, started filming. All we had set in stone was a meeting with two mayors, the mayor of Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, because there used to be one town, and then they broke off. So we met with the mayor of Dearborn Heights and then the mayor of Dearborn. That's all we had in the books. We didn't even know we were going to...
I don't know anything about the mayor of Dearborn Heights. The mayor of Dearborn I don't like.
And what is that? What is that reason for? He was very respectful to us.
I'm sure he was. But like that, Tyler Oliveira and I talked about that. The way that he just dismissed that fucking dude at council and told him he's going to throw a celebration the day that he moves out of town, and he doesn't consider him a part of the town because the guy had a complaint that a dude who was, like sympathizing with terror groups had a road named after him. That's not how you handle things. And perhaps, if I'm going to be fair, maybe he had a bad moment, and so I'm just looking at the one bad moment he had, and maybe he's an okay guy. I don't know. I can't speak to his politics. I can't speak to other things about him. I have to say that. But like, that clip just made my blood boil, because you see something like that and it's like, that's not leadership. That's not someone who's interested in trying to hear other perspectives, regardless of whether he agrees with where they're coming from or not. That's someone who says, this is just how it is. This is what it's going to be, and fuck you. And I don't know. What did you guys take from your meeting with him? I'm sure he was excited to meet with you because there's some similar perspectives and other things.
I mean, it was a short meeting. We went into the office. And there was a pastor there. I think Kevin.
I forget his name, but
great guy. And we just wanted to know, like,
a pastor.
Yeah, we had a pastor.
We had a pastor there from the community, and we were asking, is it really like this? Is it Sharia? I mean, first of all, we didn't see it anywhere. Like, yeah, could you? It's just like if I go to Fort Lee, New Jersey, it's heavily Korean. Palisades Park, Jersey, heavily Korean.
Right.
Canal Street, heavily Chinese, right? But not even to that extent in Dearborn, bro. Like, I felt like in many ways they were more American than even I am as an Albanian American. Like, literally, brother, like, you wouldn't even know, just maybe by looking at them, you'd say, well, I can tell they're not white people, but they were just, bro, they were hanging out, watching sports.
He felt like it was assimilated.
We stopped and asked random people that lived there. It's in the documentary, again, The Muslim Invasion of America. It's on YouTube. It's on Sonny Faz's channel. It's free. Like, do you feel like you're in threat? Do they dominate? Do they treat you differently? Like, not one of them, bro. Not even that old lady that came in cursing at the mayor. She came in the film, and he didn't want that on camera, but we left it in. And she came in, and she's like, was it the South Side?
Yeah.
She's like, the South Side is like shit. Like this. We left it in, bro. We wanted to show the world. This is what we're seeing. It's not what Jake Lang, who we've noticed, microscope on him. Most of the people following him don't really believe in his bullshit. I don't know if they're paid to just stand. They look like toothless fucking crackheads that they basically said, here, we'll give you $20 and a coupon to Sizzler. Just show up for this march tomorrow. It wasn't a lot of people, and it's just being magnified on social media because if you notice, it's always him in the video. It's not really his following. It's him.
Yeah, I don't know much about him.
So to me, it looked very staged. It's not the way he's portrayed it at all. And we witnessed this in real time.
Well, that's real quick, Sonny. And then I want you to make the point. But like, that's the other thing I always have to remind myself. What we see on social media, regardless of what it is or what the context is or where it is always this like, imagine a zoom map from Earth coming from space, and it just zooms in farther and farther and farther and finds one spot and finds something anecdotal. And it might be like an extreme moment or something like that. But then our human brain, mine included, like we make it the definition. It's like how...
No context.
That's with social media. We don't have the context of it,
And you know what isn't zoomed in on? Any of the good. Now,
yeah.
What else did we see in Dearborn while we were there before we move on to the Texas segment of the documentary? And it's called The Muslim Invasion of America. For those of you guys that want to watch it and see what exactly we're talking about.
In description.
To see exactly what we're talking about. So for a little bit of context, right? I'm sick with the flu the first 4 days of filming in Dearborn. We have 5 days booked.
And
thanks to you.
And you had
he
to
gets sick too.
Which is not in the film.
He gets sick too. He's dying as well.
Not in the film.
I'm a little bit worse.
Who does that sound like?
But I'm dying. Okay. So Bek goes out the second to last night and films a little 3-minute segment of the documentary. And then the rest of Dearborn was filmed in one day. So every single place we went to made it into the documentary for the sake of how much footage that we actually ended up getting. Okay. So we're on the way to the mayor's office to have a meeting with him. We stop at Tim Hortons. Let's get a coffee. I'm dying. I need this. We walk in, 2 hijabi women's, and the whole menu's pork. So they're sinning serving pork, and I'm sinning by showing their sin. For the sake of journalistic integrity, I'm personally sinning, which I have to then repent for showing their sin. Because they didn't the girls that were serving the pork, they didn't magnify to the whole world that they're out there
didn't
doing
want to
that.
be on camera.
We're the ones that put them on blast.
They don't even know
I'm
that they
going
were
to be
on
accountable
camera.
for God to that. Do you get what I'm saying? You're not supposed to show other people sinning in Islam or
pork.
talk about your own sins, or else it spreads. There's a lot of wisdom behind that. If you sin, you keep it to yourself. You repent to God.
Even the pork.
About even with pork? Well, yeah, they're serving pork, bro. It's forbidden. And, eating pork isn't the biggest sin. If you eat it accidentally, you're not burning in hell. You're actually not even punished for it if you didn't know.
And we don't explode like it's kryptonite.
But this is just what we're seeing. We did this for the sake of journalistic integrity, so people can see what's really happening. Okay? We interviewed the mayor of Dearborn Heights. He talks about how a local Muslim man, not a Christian, donates $10,000 so they can have a Christmas tree in their town hall because the other tree was stuck at the port in New York.
So he paid for one to be permanently planted there, so it's always there every year.
Once again,
That's awesome.
a Muslim man, he's sinning.
He is sitting.
He's sinning by buying that tree to make
That's a sin?
Yeah.
Yes, because the Christmas, its origins are pagan.
Yeah.
Nordic.
Look,
This
this is
where,
why
this
there's
is where I think things need to transcend religion. That's a nice thing he did for someone else to respect their point of view. That shouldn't be a fucking
I
sin.
agree, but I'm saying like,
Definitely the American
Islam,
thing to
the
do.
red lines. There's strict red lines, and this is why the faith is still
Yeah, that's why I'm not into the red lines,
I get
certain
that.
Things.
fair enough. And we could talk about that later about the wisdom behind why these red lines are so strict, and we don't deviate off of the path because you've seen when other people do that, you don't
Next
even
thing you know, you
recognize
have a peach in your butt, bro.
getting married
Strong
in
red
a
line,
holy
bro.
building with rainbows on it. It leads. The devil doesn't work by taking you from, jazz
to
music to
100.
sexy red. It's a little bit over
Yeah,
time.
you're right about that.
Methodical.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Boiling frog syndrome.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
overall, bro, Dearborn, guys watching football, people eating normal people food, all the normal businesses, hijabi women serving pork, Muslim man donates $10,000 for a Christmas tree to make them happy. A Christian didn't want to do it. Why didn't a Christian step up and say, I want to do this for my community? It was a Muslim man that did it. And these stories don't get as much attention as the little ones.
Yeah, because they're positive.
Yeah.
People, it bleeds, it leads. That's fair. Now, what happened in Texas? You've been referring to it the whole time.
So this is
And then
just
we'll
more
come to the
proof that
Black
this
Cube thing, but-
documentary, everyone wants to argue I directed
America
this.
needs this film, bro. There's actually healing in it, bro.
People
Very
want.
impressive production from what I watched.
Very
so far.
healing.
Thank
in it.
you.
Shout out to Sakeb.
Shout out to Keb, bro.
Shout out to Kip.
Legend. And, we all like to, this guy directed this guy directed that part. We all did this and that. At the end of the day, God carried this film. I can say that with 100% confidence. I don't
Especially
even
with
like
Jim.
taking any of the personal credit for any of the creative side myself. It was 100% God. We booked Dearborn and Plano, Texas, where the march was, and then they planned the protest. So we already had our flights booked to go to
And I
Texas.
was pissed that we missed the one in Dearborn.
Yeah, so this is where,
Pissed.
this is where the divine wisdom comes in, right? Because I'm in Italy or I'm traveling doing something, and we already made intention to make this documentary, right? Like we already knew that it was going to be in the works and we wanted to do this. So I'm traveling, he's traveling, and we look at Twitter, and Jake Lang's in Dearborn, Michigan protesting against the Muslims, and it's going crazy. And Bek's, what the fuck? Why aren't we there? We're missing the documentary. And I'm like, bro, we weren't meant to be there. We weren't meant to be there.
Qadr Allah, bro.
Qadr of Allah. This is one of the
The
6
wisdom
articles of
God.
faith. It's
His
always
timing
trusting.
is impeccable, bro.
Perfect, bro. And you just have to trust in it. And it hasn't not worked out for me personally. Hasn't not worked out. Even us
You're
praying.
talking about trust in the process. There's something to be said for
Trusting
that.
your creator's process.
Yeah.
When
His
you make
process.
serious intention in life.
Okay?
Look how far you've come, bro. Yeah, it's your hard work too, but you made intention to do it.
That's right.
So we book our flights ahead of time, right? And then he plans the protest. So we were going to go there regardless of if this protest happened. It was just a cherry on top for us.
That was
like
a great
that.
sign, by the way. There were no Muslims on the Epstein list or something.
There was no Muslims on Epstein's list.
that
Yeah,
was
that was a sign.
I wanted what my hat says, but
Ironically, though, it was Sneeko's idea for the actual test. It was my idea for the sign. I don't like playing this whole game of like it was my idea, this idea, because it all comes from God at the end of the day. But it almost proves it. We see these so-called Muslim guys coming out on the list. These are the leaders we've been saying for
the prophet
years.
said it himself. Towards the end of time, the worst of our community would be those that call themselves our leaders.
Yeah, we've been saying that there's no real Muslim
Okay?
leaders.
He said that they will
And this
be
is just more proof.
munafikuns, which means hypocrites. Muslim by name. You
Some
can't
of-
be a Muslim and go on Epstein's island. You can't be a Christian and go on Epstein's island and do the shit they did. I don't give a fuck. You could call yourself whatever you want. You can have an Arab name. It doesn't mean that you're a Muslim, though. You understand? God knows what's in your heart and what your actions are. So no more than a terrorist can, right? If you take one human life that's innocent in Islam, you're fucked, bro. Excuse my language. You're in serious trouble. You can't do Allahu Akbar. You can't. One innocent life, including your own. If you commit suicide, you're cooked in Islam. You go to hell forever. There's no fucking 72 virgins. Pour me a Coors Light, let's party. No, you're going to fucking hell in this religion. But the news and the movies, what do they show? Every movie's like, Rahman, I got the C4, Allahu Akbar! So that you will even hate, and it's done on purpose, Julian, so that you will hate the word that is a cognate in all three religions. You will hate the word Allah, which is literally the word for God in all three faiths. That's why it's done, to desensitize you and make you literally curse the name of God.
Another point that we mentioned is how, their whole propaganda against Muslims has always been to try to paint them as terrorists. So what have they done recently? They took the word Islam, they took the word terrorist, Islamist. And this is what they're calling us now. I've never once heard a Muslim call themselves an Islamist in my entire life.
That's
I've only ever heard it out of the mouths of people that hate Islam and they're trying to demonize Muslims.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
If we don't even call ourselves it, why do you call us it? We call you Christians. We call you Catholics, what you want to be called.
That's
I
fair.
identify as this. Call us Muslims. Or if you don't even want to say the Arabic, say, oh, you who submit to God. Start calling us submitters to God. I'd actually prefer that.
The submitters.
The submitters. I'd literally rather they call us that.
Did you feel like when you were down in Texas at these protests where there's all different people with different opinions, did you feel like there were any real conversations that happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, I asked, well...
Half of his group got fragmented. When we opened up the sign, and you'll see this in the film, they were like, what? And some of them didn't even realize that Jake Lang, based on my opinion, I don't even think he's Christian. That's my personal opinion. I'm exercising my First fucking Amendment. I don't think he's Christian. I think he's an agitator pretending to be a Christian to make Christians and Muslims fight each other to distract from what's going on in the Middle East. And he barely even posted about Epstein, bro. You're so pro-American. Pull up his fucking ex. Let's see. I want to see because he was.
That is a tell at this point.
He was in jail. He was in jail. Let's see if he's posted about Epstein, bro.
Yeah.
Please pull it up.
Yeah.
Because supposedly he got arrested because he kicked down the ice right now, and was it Minnesota?
Mm-hmm.
But the irony is when he went to Minnesota, and we're gonna get back to Texas. When he went to Minnesota, okay, a mob of non-Muslims were about. Did you see the videos of him in Minnesota? They were gonna split him. They were gonna, bro. They were about to. It looked like they were about to bang him up against the wall. They had his legs split. Okay, please put the footage in this. They were about to split his legs. It looked like, and take him by force.
Oh, no.
All right? And they're about to split his legs apart like a chicken wing. I swear to God. And guess who saves him in that herd? A Muslim. The same people he's vilifying. See, that's what we call God's wisdom. See, to us, the Muslims, we look at that as a sign. He's humiliated by non-Muslims for trying to humiliate God's book. And a Muslim's the one that ends up saving him. Yeah. He should go home, Jake Lang, and you should have some reflection.
How about
God gave you a message. You should really analyze what happened to you in Minnesota. And it was a Muslim that saved your stupid ass.
How about the Muslim that saved people in Australia?
I was just going to mention that. And how did they repay them? Did you see what happened yesterday in Australia?
No.
Pull it up. Please pull it up. For those of you guys that don't know, there was a terrorist attack, most likely done by a 3-letter agency. A few months ago in Australia, a Muslim man, may God be pleased with him, risked his life to go and save the day.
De-arm the guy.
Then yesterday, there was a group of Muslims outside protesting like they're allowed to, like you're allowed to in first world nations.
And Australia has been a little totalitarian lately.
Israeli, something within anti-Israel protesters because they don't want their government working with others. They're actually trying to be Australia first by saying, what's up with this infiltration? They're praying outside, right? And what did the police do? They treat them like dogs.
And there is a large Arab community
like dogs.
in
the eyes of God. Imagine how this looks, bro. Imagine,
Sydney.
I would be scared out my wazoo, up the wazoo, if I was one of these police officers and I was hitting and handcuffing people that are praying peacefully. You walk anywhere, 1 second, and then I got you.
Yeah.
You walk anywhere in Central Park in New York. You have homeless people sleeping on the street. You have groups of people that are singing in Washington Square Park their songs and walking around in circles.
Girls walking around butt naked, just like the Statue of Liberty, literally naked, just paint on their bodies.
But when a Muslim
children
goes like
walking
this,
through the Times
when
Square.
a Muslim goes like this, Allahu Akbar, that's the end of the world now.
God is the
That's the
greatest.
end of the world. It's so
Think about it.
hypocritical.
Seriously, think about it.
That's strange.
Isn't
You can
that-
go to Times
Very
Square
strange.
and women are literally naked, bro. Just you can take a picture with them. Yeah. Some of them, but body paint, and they're naked, dude. I can see her nipples. Okay, So for us, it's like, first of all, Australia, since the lockdowns,
Oh, brutal.
straight totalitarian.
Brutal.
People of Australia are under attack. Forget about even what's going on in the Middle East. You've already been put under the thumb, them brutally, then the UK. We're not for open borders, bro. I will never be for open borders.
Yeah.
But I'm also for not you crossing people's borders and destabilizing where they live. That's the hypocrisy of Europe right now. Okay? You got Dominik Tarczynski of Poland. We are proud. We did not have one Muslim refugee. Then why did you send thousands of soldiers in 2003 to destabilize Iraq? And then you're mad that these people are seeking safety. And you say, bro, if there's grooming gangs, I'll say it again on your show. I've said this 1,000 times. If there are grooming gangs in the UK, Pakistani or whatever they are, round them up. But don't group innocent people with them. Yeah. Round them up, hang them off your trees. Us Muslims will clap for you. Terrorists, if you can find them, wipe them out. More Muslims die from terrorism than any other people, bro.
Yeah,
That's
and
the irony of all
I think
this.
everything the most common sense answer is everything you're saying needs to apply to all people around the world, and it's something that humanity has struggled with over and over and over again. We other ourselves in different groups at different times throughout time. It's a cycle that repeats over and over again, and we never fucking learn our lesson. And I think we just got to fucking get along. I mean, maybe
really
that's
not hard.
oversimplifying it, but that's how I look at it.
Tommy Robinson, right? Do I, in some ways, I understand why he's fined for what he is, okay? In some
He's
ways.
the UK guy.
Okay? Yeah. All right, I get it. But they also neglect their own history. Hundreds of millions of people lost their lives because of the UK. Hundreds of millions, especially the ones he hates, the Pakis and the Indians. Brother, they starved like 6-7 million of them, not even in the last century. They starved them to death with famine. Like, they paint these pictures, and they only give you a little piece of the mosaic. They don't give you the whole, they give you a tile. I got no problem with him closing the border because that's all globalist propaganda, Soros funded. I'm down. I'm against that. He's against that.
Remember when you would call him rhymes with Rojos?
Yeah, we had to speak. But I was wrong back then. They were censoring the shit out of us.
No, you weren't.
Okay, I was shadow
was
man
just
for
funny.
a while.
Yeah.
So for us, it's like, okay, Tommy, I'm down. You know, let's get the grooming gangs. But did Tommy organize a protest against the Anglican bishop that just stepped down 6 months ago? Because he was concealed. The head of the Anglican church, the head, concealing 100 boys being violated.
You see what was said about
So
Tommy?
to me, you're a
You
hypocrite.
see what was said about Tommy in the Epstein files?
What?
Oh,
I believe it
he's
was
in there too?
I believe it was, if I'm remembering correctly, it was a conversation between Bannon and Epstein where Bannon said, he'll go to the highest bidder.
Wow.
Something like that.
See, but we already said that. 100% paid.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Wow.
man.
So that's in there, man. You just taught me
It's a
something.
lot going on. But
Pull that up, bro.
Beck, I wanted to make sure we got to it because you said it earlier. What you believe is a misconception about the whole black cube thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of people online that try to claim that Muslims worship the Kaaba, which is the black box you see in Saudi Arabia, right? And they try to associate it with the black Saturn cube conspiracy maybe you've heard of. Okay. First of all, that box is not significant to the Muslims. It's the land that it's on. The house is just a temple. There's nothing in it. It's completely empty inside. It used to be a rectangle. It wasn't always a cube. So all of you Saturn cube people out there trying to associate Islam with some ancient cult that worships Saturn, right? And then they tie it into the whole Jewish thing where they put that thing on their head and the Teflon, right? Because they have a cube. The Holy Kaaba used to be a rectangle before it was a cube. So that theory's debunked here on the Julian Dorey Show. Stay tuned for more of the most interesting topics in the world. Just real quick.
Remember what we said, bro. Like the Muslim leaders of these countries, dude. Like a lot
We
of
don't
them,
accept them.
They're in bed with the Antichrist, bro.
We
lot
don't
of
accept them, bro.
The Antichrist will have one eye.
I think that's the biggest thing, man. I think if there's something you asked me about what can unite people in Times Square earlier, and the answer I gave, I stand by. Another thing though, just like around the world that I think could unite people is not blindly trusting the leadership and the structures that have been put in at all.
I don't trust any of them.
The
bro.
fact that we can't see when you look anywhere around the world, I could go blind like this and point my finger somewhere on that globe and you can't see.
A righteous leader.
Massive corruption and unrighteous leaders.
There's not one righteous leader on this earth.
That's what well, I'd like to think there's someone somewhere, but you know what I mean. Like there are just rot at the core along leadership around the world, that is something that people can all unite around and try to actually change it. And hopefully with this cycle we're in globally, frankly, like that can happen, you know? So more conversations like this. I love doing this kind of thing. There's a lot I learned today. I don't know much of anything about like the actual ins and outs of something like Islam, and that's the beauty of doing this podcast. I can bring guys like you in and get it. So I appreciate you guys giving me a good education.
And if you ever, decided to accept the faith or just simply say your shahada, like people are like, only Muslims can go to Mecca. You need to say one sentence, and you're technically a Muslim, and you can go. So if you ever did, come to the conclusion that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is a messenger, and you say that out loud, pull up to Mecca. Let's go one time.
Pull up, baby.
Pull up. And, we
Everybody
believe you're
It's
only
the largest
invited.
mosh pit in the
But
world, bro.
The reason I even asked you that question is because I was there last Ramadan. This is my first time going to Mecca. And there's people of every single skin color from every single corner of the globe, different genders, different ages. It's so packed in Ramadan, bro. Like to walk a mile takes at least an hour and a half. You're pushed up against people's backs. You're stepping on each other's feet. I didn't see one fight or one argument the entire time.
That's beautiful.
Not one. What else could bring people together like that? No sports team. You have Patriots fans that they both get a little drunk and they start swinging on each other.
Right.
You have people that like the same artist. They go to concerts. They're fighting each other. You have people in the same country. They fight each other. You have people like there's
Peace
nothing
and
else,
submission
bro.
to something that's above you. Therefore, the things that are right here, we don't need to fight with. Yeah, I feel you.
And this is, something that's my own personal experience. This isn't empirical evidence, but I've never seen anything else like it in my entire life.
It comes through, man. Hearing you talk about it. All right, so we'll have your stuff linked down below. People can check out the documentaries. There's a bunch on there on Sonny's channel. They're really, really well done. And we'll have Bek's stuff all linked down below as well, so people can check out all the years and years of Bek Lover fucking letting it loose online. But good to have you both here. Thank you guys so much.
And they should check out the God, Aliens, and Demonic Realm episode we did too.
Yeah, episode 220. That was back in July 2024. Greatest opening monologue in the history of the podcast.
For real?
This guy, right? Yeah,
That's
it's the
respect to
funniest
hear
thing
that
of
on
all
the
time.
Julian Dorey podcast.
Funniest thing of
And
all time.
before we wrap up, let me just, clarify whatever I said that was correct. It's from God, and whatever mistakes I made, those are from the devil and myself. That's it.
All right,
There it is on the record. Everybody else, you know what it is. Give it a thought. Get back to me.
right.
Peace. What's up, guys? Thanks so much for watching the video. If you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button before you leave, as well as leaving a like on the video. It's a huge, huge help. You can join my Patreon via the link in the description, and you can also join my clipping community via the Discord link down below. See you for the next episode.